What's up, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 144. It's another lovely Saturday here, and we've got some things to talk about. One of our favorite guests is back in the house. But first, I need to throw it over to my partner in crime, Mr. Sea of Thieves legend himself.
That's right, baby. Mr.
Rodriguez. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. It's been an uneventful week for me personally, but other than that, man, I got 3 different drinks I'm looking at over here right now.
Why do you have 3 drinks?
I don't know. I have a Diet Pepsi, a zero sugar root beer from A&W, which actually is really good. I'm, surprised. And then like a full ass sugar Monster Pipeline Punch.
Oh God, that would
I'm going all out. Me. I already had like a mean bean. I'm ready to go. I got some other kind of drugs in me.
Just got to add some alcohol to the whole mix.
Right. Yeah, just go to town. You got to, go all out for this, Saturday thing. We're at 144. So, are we doing something special for 150? We need to talk about this.
We absolutely are. I'm going to start planning it any day now.
No shirts.
No, not doing that.
That's right. I'm just throwing that out there.
But yeah, we will do something for 150. I have actually, in all seriousness, been thinking about it. I don't know what yet. We have a little time, but we'll do something. We'll figure it out. But
what if I get a tattooed across my SG 150th show? Bitcast.
I don't know if you'd want to do 150th show, but SG tattoos are always encouraged.
Yeah, no. My body is a temple. It's a temple.
A temple. Yeah. Right. Luke, Mr. Ghost, host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, a regular on the show. You all know him. What's happening, brother?
Honestly, guys, it is so good to be here without Joseph Moran, without Mr. Badbit. And I just think it's important, in these trying times and the difficult, he's not here. And I'm so glad to finally get to have a conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
And just really remind everyone that he's awful. All right.
Yeah, over the past few weeks, he's been on a couple times, and we were really just getting it out of our system so we could get back to normality. You saved the best for last type thing. You know what I mean?
I get it. And I know you got plans for 150, and I'm going to level with you. If you try to bring him on, he's going to ruin them. He's going to ruin them. It's just what he does.
To write the stuff down.
Yeah, it's bad. But real talk, boys, good to see you. Rough week for some of us, I know. Yes. Good to get to hang out with you guys, talk some aliens, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot a lot of goodness to go around. So I appreciate you letting me fill my Saturday. So thank you guys.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah. And, wait, Luke, the David Bateson intro to EXP.
You like it?
Loved it. When I heard it, I was just like, this should be it from here on out. I love Master Chief.
Yeah, you've
Xbox. That. I was just like, oh man. So I want him for my ringtone. Hey, I'm calling. Or something. Just something.
We're best friends now. I'll message him. I'll be like, hey, David.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. So, I need this.
For anybody that doesn't know, he's talking about David Bateson, the voice of Agent 47, and he was good enough to do an audio bumper for the beginning of XEP that introduces the show. Which is really cool. And I've had several guests get to do that, Master Chief, a few others, but this one was neat. And it's haunting because this is the hitman. This is the hitman. And he's just like, hey, it's me. And we'll listen to the show. Have fun. And it's like, weird.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Super cool guy. Fun interview, too. I liked it.
Yeah,
Thank you for pointing it out.
Hey, Bizzle, welcome chat. Elu, Hassan, Bizzle, Bomber. Good to see everyone. Matt, what's happening? He said I'd have to be a major part of SG before I'd get a tattoo. That goes for me too, Bizzle.
Yeah.
There's I'd have to be a bigger part of SG before I get a tattoo.
Let's discuss, at some point what that bigger part needs to be.
Yeah.
Because, I think Bizzle would look really cool with the skull, on his shoulder. He's probably got something on there though.
Yeah. Well, he said that our sugar skull is one of the few stickers put at his work.
Perfect.
We made that collection, so pretty badass.
If any one of your listeners would like a free tattoo, I'm currently sponsoring Joe Sucks to be tattooed across your lower back.
Your lower back.
It's a tramp stamp.
That's
fantastic.
Only appropriate, I would think. So if anyone wants that, you just hit me up. I'll take care of you. No problem.
Love it.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of Bujo going here shortly.
That's right.
Of course, for anyone listening to this later who is not in tune with our ongoing chat with Luke and Joe, You know him as a host of Xbox Expansion Pass, Luke here, and of course, host of the Trophy Room, Joe. Good friends, other than the fact that, of course, Joe sucks. You know what I mean?
He does. He's really the worst.
Real quick before we get started, and Dan, I see that obviously your name calls it out. A tough week for the gaming community in a number of ways. Now, I was not friends with Nintendo Guru, so I can't really speak to him. But condolences, obviously, to anyone who knew him, anyone impacted by that. But we lost one of our brothers over at Lords of Gaming as well this week, Dizzy, who everyone knows him as Dizzy. His real name's Kevin, of course. And just a really, really tough loss for a lot of people. That is, obviously part of our community and the Lord's community and that community. So if you missed it, we do actually have links on our site as well, linking to the memorial episode that happened yesterday. Cognito over there coordinated it. I was part of it, as were all the Lords and a whole bunch of other people, hundreds of people in the chat. So that is up with a link on our site. Please check it out. There's also a link to Kevin's article he wrote last year, which was very impactful, titled Gaming with Cancer, which was a fantastic article, tough read. But one thing it will do for you is put things into perspective, because I think a lot of us, myself included, I'm not, lose perspective at times. We all do. As to what's truly important in this world, especially in the nonsense that we all see within the gaming community on a damn near daily basis. So there are a lot more important things in life. And Kevin was really, really good about reminding us of that. So if you didn't catch any of that, please do. It's worth it. Trust me. You can find the links on our site. Obviously, go to lordsgaming.net or their YouTube channel. You can find it there as well. So.
Yeah, there's a Patreon set up too for
thanks. GoFundMe.
Yeah, a GoFundMe. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Patreon.
Yes, to help
his
Kevin's
wife.
now wife, wife Rosalind and their son Parker, obviously devastated, and losing a spouse when you have a young child is, I don't really have the words. I think we all know. So it's been incredible to see the outpouring of the community for that GoFundMe, for the support. And but if you have the means, of course, anything helps.
It was a rough week for a lot of reasons, but it was neat and a nice reminder that the community's put aside all the silliness that comes with our gaming chats to take care of families and to work to help those families. That was that stood out to me. I mean, especially with Bobby going and then Kevin a few days later, that was really rough. And I joke about Joe. Joe was in a real bad spot a few months ago. So yeah, it's cool when our internet friends can come together and back us up, and it reminds us about how helpful gaming can be.
Yeah,
in that real world stuff.
Yeah. What surprised me the most yesterday, it didn't surprise me. What I love seeing the most, I should say, is how many people I heard from that joined our Zoom call, who I'd never spoken to personally before. And we just kind of shared stories and memories. And you're right. It brought everyone together. And I think if we all did a better job of looking at things from that perspective more often, it would be a better place for everyone. So, I'm going to talk a little more. I don't want to detract from the conversation focused on Dizzy here at the start, because that's what this is. I'm going to talk a little more later near the end of the show about some things that we're going to be doing with SG in the future that will be an ongoing campaign to highlight positivity and good things in the gaming community. So more to come on that here shortly.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I mean, when I stepped away for a little bit from the socials, and Diego actually told me about it a few days after it happened, and it's awesome to see, like you guys said, the community kind of come together for this kind of stuff. And Kevin was one of those guys where, he's got some roots here in Kansas City too. We always have some conversation about
we had a barbecue discussion yesterday as well in honor of him, which he would have loved.
He was a big sauce guy here. He loves Kansas City sauce. But he was always one of those guys that was, he just said what he wanted to say, but he was, and he had his opinions, and But he was always nice about it, and he was always a gentleman in a place that doesn't have a lot of that.
Yep.
So I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him. His tweets. I'm gonna miss. I feel terrible for those guys over there. Because they were obviously much closer, and they're just such a tight knit community over at ILP. And so my condolences go out to them.
Yeah. Yep. Fair. What was most apparent yesterday, which I don't even think, Cog even said he didn't realize, is how many people Dizzy touched and communicated with on a regular basis. I actually went back through my DMs and Dizzy, I told him that Dizzy first reached out to me early last year, early 2020. So I only known him in that way a little over a year, but we talked regularly. And he was always, just really on point. You would never know. We talked about this a lot yesterday, but you would have never known that he was going through what he was going through. Never. He was just always so positive and outgoing and willing to help anybody and everyone. And it's, I could go on a long rant about the world taking people from us that it shouldn't, and leaving people here that are doing no good for anyone. It's the tough part of life. So
he was a huge supporter of not only ILP, where he did a lot of stuff, but here at SG, we saw him in the chat all the time. When he couldn't make it, he was everywhere. Really, I mean, he was always in chats in all these podcasts, and he took that time to come in and just talk positively about it, about the hobby, and we need more of that. So when I saw the news, I was, it was devastating because we don't have people like him. A lot of people like him, in the community, and I just hope his family does all right. The GoFundMe seems to be going extremely well, which is awesome. The show yesterday, I wasn't able to tune in. I'm planning on going back and watching it. So it's a big loss, man.
It's over 3 hours long, and definitely have some tissues nearby. Yeah. A lot of stories. A lot of us were broken up multiple times throughout. So, which is what it's about. But we also had a lot of laughs. Most of his really close friends who knew him better than I did said that if, he was watching yesterday, he hated it because he didn't, he never wanted the attention on himself. And he certainly wouldn't want everyone sitting around, being sad about things. So that's why we brought up, barbecue and Mass Effect and a lot of other funny kind of debates that, he would love to have as well. So it was excellent. So, all right. That's hard to jump off of. Bear with me.
So there's a new Switch, I guess?
Yeah. So Nintendo. All right. Yeah. Let me, let's get on with the show, fellas. Which again is exactly what Dizzy would be in the chat telling us to do right now. So
telling us to shut up.
Yeah. Telling us to shut up and move on. So we're on it, brother. Let's do it. We'll start with the rumors of the Switch Pro. Obviously Nintendo hasn't called it a Pro or said anything official yet, but that's just the easiest thing to say, I think. So what came out this week, official reports from Bloomberg initially, and a few other kind of major sites. So this obviously seems very official, even though Nintendo didn't say it per se. And that is that a Switch Pro is finally coming. I know, Dan, I looked back. I think we did an episode in like late 2019 with Bert talking about the Switch Pro rumors. It's been a long time we've been talking about this from a rumor standpoint. But it looks like this is going to have. So let me talk about what we know. It's going to upgrade from a LED screen to an OLED screen. However, and I'm going to go on a little rant here in a moment, it will still be 720p native when in handheld mode. The screen will be 7 inches, which is slightly bigger than a normal Switch. So a normal Switch is 6.2 and a Switch Lite is 5.5. So nice to see a little size increase here as well, at least in my opinion. And they said it will offer 4K support. Now, the word here, support, is very interesting because nobody knows what that means. That could mean anything. There's no CPU or GPU details given here yet. If you know the Switch hardware, it's really running on an old mobile laptop CPU. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of comes with this, because obviously when you have hardware that's that narrow in your hands. It heat's a factor, and there's a whole lot of other things that come into play with that. So that's about all we know right now. What did you guys think kind of when you first heard about this? I mean, Luke, I don't even know, how big into the Switch or Nintendo ecosystem are you? Is it something you're, active in or not really?
I think a lot of us have a love-hate relationship with Nintendo. There are times that we are just really into it and times not to. And the Switch was, to me, a brilliant revitalization of Nintendo for me because I enjoyed the games on the Wii U. I did not like the Wii U. I really liked the Wii for certain experiences. There were some things that just my Xbox and PlayStation couldn't do. So I loved that. But as far as the Switch, I loved my Switch for probably about 6 to 8 months. I just adored it. I loved playing indies on it. I loved playing Breath of the Wild. Mario Kart with my wife was a joy. And since I put it down, I've really not picked it up again. I tried with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 because I love superhero games and I enjoyed that briefly. But even then it just didn't, or has not captured me. I'm looking over at it right now. I use it to charge my headset for my Xbox. I use the dock for that. I don't even have it hooked up to my, brilliant TV that I use for PlayStation and Xbox gaming. I purchased the Mario collection, haven't touched it. I purchased my favorite Mario game, which is 3D World. Haven't touched it.
Can we stop for a second?
Sure.
Wait, hold on. Say that one more time.
How is that your favorite Mario? Have you played other Mario games?
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I love a lot of Mario games, but 3D
World out of all the Mario games since we've been a kid is your favorite one.
Favorite and best are not the same. No. And I often go on that
okay, all right, that's fair.
Divergence.
You're helping a little bit because the Boo Luke movement was about to start real fast.
I was about to DM Joe real quick. So
as a longtime fan of Anthem, bring it, boys. I'm ready. All right, I can fight anybody at this point.
I mean, Super Mario World, man, come on.
I was Mario 3.
Hey, still better than 3D World.
So I should clarify. I think a lot of Mario games are great and a lot are just okay, right?
Yeah, well, there's so many of them too.
Right, and I think a lot of times when it comes to games like that where they have such a long-standing tradition, the difference between your favorites is so minuscule and minute. I mean, there's Mario 3, Mario Super Mario World, 3D World. I really liked New Super Mario Brothers, the first one when it was on the DS.
Yes,
that was a wonderful experience. And then you get into the 2D and 3D debates, and there was something special about 3D World when it hit on that Wii U gamepad that I just really liked a lot.
Cool.
It just felt good. And I had a good old time, and I like the vibe that it brings. Odyssey disappointed me a bit, if I'm being frank. It was very well made and very well done. But like a lot of things, if it doesn't hit you at the right time or whatever the games are in the ecosystem that you're part of at the time, if others are clicking with you, you tend to put one to the side. Yeah. And that's what's happened with the Switch and Nintendo for me. And I felt like, and still feel like, much to my timeline's chagrin, I feel like Nintendo has really let down its fans quite a bit in this Switch generation in terms of technology and advancing their own mediums. And then I caveat all of that with, they're not making games for me. They have brought the best games from their forgotten system, the Wii U, forward. Yes. That's fantastic. Well deserving of praise. When I look on paper, I'm really disappointed by this 720p idea. And then a much smarter person educated me on pixel density and the size of the screen and what that matters.
Oh, don't listen to him.
But I couldn't care less. That's kind of the bigger point is Nintendo is not giving me what I want. Metroid, Star Fox, newer, cooler experiences, bringing the games that I need.
Or and advancing their technology, the rest of the kind of ecosystem, as you said. Yeah. Right.
Cloud saves, party systems, achievement-like things, which they could have done with the stickers on the DS. And
they don't even someone mentioned the other day, which I hadn't thought about. The Switch is out 4 years now. Actually, it was 4 years like this week or something, or coming up. You still remember before launch, they talked about app support because YouTube took like a year to get on the Switch. There's still no Netflix. It's 4 years later.
Like, now, do we need Netflix on another device? No, but it's the matter. Point.
Yeah,
exactly. They seem to leave us out. And how strange is it, guys, that Nintendo, with the greatest legacy in gaming, is being chased by Sony very comfortably in terms of legacy catalog.
fair.
Neither of them are doing the best at preserving old games, backward compatibility, forward compatibility. Xbox is doing that.
Yeah.
And that to me does a lot of disservice. And the oddest part to me is that I think a lot of people, Nintendo fans, is the umbrella we put them under. But of course, I purchased some of these games myself, and I include myself. We forgive them for so many things that we would never allow Sony and Microsoft 100%. To get away with. And I've taken this topic to the nth degree. I apologize, but Nintendo really a love-hate relationship. It really frustrates me in how they are handled and treated by gamers and how they treat and handle gamers.
Yeah, in fact, I can't agree more. And I know Dan and I talk about Nintendo somehow every week, even though there's not a lot to talk about often. But I wrote an article a year and a half ago or something, and the title really was, "It's time to stop making excuses for Nintendo." And I really believe it is. They're making their revenue last year. I'm going off of memory here. I may get this wrong, guys, but something like 13 billion, right? And what are you getting from it? I mean, their revenue is up there with Xbox. Now, I know it goes without saying Xbox has Microsoft, so it's a different conversation. The tech's there, the partnerships are there. However, it just doesn't feel like Nintendo reinvests their profits and revenues in the ways they should to support their fans. The fact that we get these crappy re-releases over and over again for full price, or that their first-party games never get discounted years later, is just shocking to me. And the whole online and just connectivity with your friends on the Switch is an absolute joke. I can't think of a device in 2021 that's worse.
Agreed. And I would argue and say very clearly, I love these re-releases.
Dan's laughing. I'm like, name a device that in 2020, name a device that has less functionality than a Switch.
The Soldier Boy console. That's about all I got, though.
It's just
like an iPhone 3.
I would love these re-releases if they weren't at the expense of new games.
That too.
But where's Metroid Prime 4?
Yeah.
Where's that? Like, where's the next Mario? Where's the next game in the Star Fox series? Where's
the Mario Kart that everyone continues to buy is a Wii U game?
Right. Right. You know and that frustrates me just so much because those fans deserve better. And then maybe we're all chumps because we say this all the time and they're making buku money. And it's like, well, they're making new fans. They're not talking to us. That Mario Kart game that looked so dumb, but so cool. And I would have played it for about 6 minutes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That would have looked really cool for about a weekend.
The AR one.
Right. Yeah. They're doing that and they're doing Labo. I don't get it, guys.
Hey, man, Nintendo, we joke about it all the time. They can, what's the phrase from Tommy Boy where he's like, I can sell a ketchup popsicle to a guy wearing white gloves or something like that. Like, that's Nintendo. Like, they literally found a way to sell cardboard for $80.
Mm-hmm.
And people bought it up. It's crazy to me. And we sound really harsh right now. I realize. Understand that Nintendo literally built the foundation of my gaming love. So the respect for Nintendo will never go away for me as what they've done for the gaming industry. I mean, it would not be here in the same way if it weren't for Nintendo, period. Certainly. Nobody can debate that. But it's so weird to me. And that going back to, sorry, Dan, I know you haven't touched on the Switch Pro. Let's bring it back to Switch Pro and not Nintendo. Going back to the 720p screen real quick. So I had this debate and I saw trust me, I'm into this stuff. So I know all about pixel density and how far away from your face it is and all this nonsense. It's very simple. It would cost them next to nothing. I mean, next to nothing to at least make it 1080p, because 1080p at this point in time is old tech. Anything nowadays is 1440p or 4K. And so what came out of a report that came out, and I forget where it was, but I was talking with some of the guys about it who are in chat actually, is that it seems like what Nintendo has done, because if you're not aware, Nintendo makes money on their hardware. They're not like PlayStation or Microsoft where they're willing to take a loss on hardware. Is that Samsung?
Yep.
I believe Samsung has gotten, if you look at the curve of their cost for making OLED screens, in early 2020, it took a nosedive. So the cost to manufacture this now is next to nothing. I mean, super, super cheap. And Samsung was sitting, as the report states, sitting on excess supply of this, what they call rigid OLED, which is older OLED technology. It's not the OLED that's on like the fabric. You can basically roll it up and take it with you. This is rigid OLED. And so I bring all that up to say, don't fall for the pixel density. It's going to be 1.5 feet from your face. That's bullcrap. The honest to goodness reason why Nintendo's doing this is cost. That's all it is. You have phones, and phones are far more expensive, especially high-end ones. But I mean, we've got 120 hertz, 1440p, liquid OLED or AMOLED screens on phones now, and it's just to go 720p for a device that was supposedly, think about it, right? It's going to take you to what, 2024?
Gross.
Yeah. I told guys the other day, I said, okay, people argue in 720p. Show me somewhere right now where someone's selling a 720p device.
So, follow-up question to all of that, because I don't have a good answer for you, and it's not my realm to try and speak on the technology aspect. Will gamers or Nintendo fans specifically care?
No. That's my point. Is Nintendo knows they can do this. They're going to save money by doing it. It goes back to what we were saying. They're not advancing, right? They know what they can get away with. They're highlighting profit margin rather than fan service, which, let's be honest, most companies do, if we're fair. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of ridiculous. I see Darren, what's going on, buddy? He says battery life. So battery life is said to be improved because OLED uses a whole lot less power than, say, LED screens or something. But that's not going to – the difference in battery life or power consumption between a 720p 7-inch screen and 1080p is minuscule. I mean, that's definitely not it.
So it's simply a cost thing, and that's what has us up in arms or frustrated with as older consumers who are tech-driven or at the very least want the best visual experiences. Am I correct in articulating that?
Again, it's not going to be a night and day difference, right? But you will notice. For people saying you won't notice that it's 720p instead of 10, yes, you will. You absolutely will. If it was 1080p, trust me, you would notice. Otherwise, that's when you get a new phone screen. Believe me, you notice. If that resolution is different, it may not be huge. There will be a difference.
I'm often asked why I chose the ecosystem I chose, or why I'm playing on the system I'm playing with, and I launched into the PS4, Xbox One gen with PS4. That was where I went initially. Yep. That was where I wanted to be. And it was only partway through the generation that I decided to make the switch, because I saw that Microsoft was, just as Sony was at the beginning, Microsoft was valuing the customer more partway through. They also needed the customer more. And I'm not naive to that fact, but they simply valued us as customers more. I got more for my dollar as a Microsoft customer, as a primary Microsoft customer. And I feel like currently it stands that Microsoft does value the customer more. My dollar goes further with Microsoft, then Sony, and then Nintendo at a very far distant
third.
Third. Yeah. I don't feel like they take care of their customers and gamers in the same way.
Yeah.
I also feel like that's driven by need. They don't need to.
So and Dan, I'm sorry, we got a lot of. Let me get to some of these comments real quick. Kay Asante's very good point. What's up, man? He says all they are doing is benefiting from Tegra X1 optimization over the years from NVIDIA Shield. Fair, same chip, better optimization, so it can hit 4K without overheating. Then they add the old OLED. Yep, it's fair. So it's waiting for that to come down to basically meet them, right? It's waiting for that tech to come down to meet them. So you just touched on something. I know Dan and I have talked about this, and Elu and I have talked offline. Where is it, Dan? Oh. So this is a point I want to highlight, because this is true. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely true. Nintendo focuses on software. But what all of us agree or seem to agree on, regardless of what you think of Nintendo, is that they know that their core fans and fan base are going to buy it, period, right? So my point is, people like us right now who are kind of almost disgruntled, maybe a little bit, yeah, they're going to buy it over and over again, your core fans. So if the 1080p doesn't matter to them, the core fans, and they're going to buy it anyway, that's fair, right? What we're saying is, if they spend an extra couple dollars per unit, whatever it is, I'm guessing, right? But whatever it is, you would then not only get all that fan base you're going to get no matter what the hell you do, because there's tons of them for Nintendo. You would start to recapture people like us. If you came out and said this is a 1080p OLED screen and it's going to support 4K, and hey, we're doing this to Nintendo Online, we're adding, party system, all these things we've touched on. Now you have my interest again. Mm-hmm. But, I have reached the point where I'm not buying much on the Switch. Mm-hmm. I bought Bowser's Fury with 3D World because of Bowser's Fury I wanted to try. Mm-hmm. But there's been a lot of other re-releases. I didn't buy the Mario 3D collection. You got to be kidding me. I'm not paying $60 for that. And I own those games probably 6 times over already. So, I think if, to Luke's point, yes, it's about software, but if the people who love Nintendo are going to buy it anyway, why not invest the small amount to capture the rest of the audience you're missing out on? That would be my argument.
Why would they have to, though?
No, they don't have to do anything.
That's what I mean. We talked about this last week a little bit, as far as like how these companies, have all this information, right?
Yes.
So maybe it's $2 or $3, maybe it's $10 a unit, maybe it's this. You spend that. Do you recoup that money?
Of course.
That's and I would say I have no idea. They know, So yeah, would I like to have seen 1080p? Sure. Do I play my Switch in handheld mostly? No. I usually play it on my big screen. So I don't play a lot in handheld. Like in fact, especially I just haven't been playing the Switch a whole lot. Is really what it comes down to. But when I did, it'd be a few hours here on the TV, and then I take it downstairs maybe for an hour. So it had it was handy in that But my eyes are so bad that it didn't really matter at that point. I don't know, man. The biggest thing with me is if you're gonna do this, like, what else is gonna change? How are they gonna do this? 4K thing. Is it gonna have a bigger base? Is it gonna have a new dock? Is it gonna have, why don't you focus on fixing the Joy-Con drift issue?
Right.
There's so many other things that we can, all that stuff needs to happen at one time, as opposed to, we're just going to make a little bit prettier screen and we're going to make it a better resolution on your TV if you've got 4K. So Nintendo's their thing. They do their whatever they want to do. I don't even know. Will I buy it? Probably, because
it's never in question. We know you're buying it,
right? And do I think Metroid will eventually come? Like Monster Hunter is coming. There's a few other games that I've seen that look like I'm probably going to buy them on day one. And I hope. When is it supposed to go into production? Like June, July?
They said late 2021.
Oh, okay, so way later.
Yeah,
that's when it's coming out, or?
Well, no, they said 1 million units for late 2021. But remember, it's the same conversation we're having with Series X, PS5, right? There's an awful lot of overlapping need right now for components that put these devices together, which is why I think they said 1 million units instead of something like 4 million, right?
Yeah,
1 million units is
not that I get one of these on release date.
No.
It's going to be insane,
no.
and then for probably years to come, and it's probably going to be, I would guess it would be more expensive because that's what Nintendo does. This is probably not going to actually cost them that much more in the long run because it's really not that huge of an upgrade right off the bat. This is technology that existed when the Switch came out. I'm guessing, they could have made this whenever it initially launched, just like this. It would have cost more, obviously, but now that price, I'm guessing, is probably what they're paying now. Like the manufacturing cost, has gone down. It has to have. That's just how it works, I think. So either they're going to be doing it for the same amount of money or they're going to be doing it for less. So they're actually going to be making more money on this one, assuming they sell it for another $100 or something.
They sell it for, I could see $349 and then a switch to $249, like to $199, something like that.
Yeah, they're not, they know what they're doing.
Of course they
do. And they all these new, people, that get into it because it's a kid-friendly system. It's a family-friendly system. You know, it's one of those things where it's, you know, everybody knows Mario, everybody knows Smash Brothers, and everybody likes to race on Mario Kart. You know, that's what they have. They've got just all that recognition. They've been in the game forever, so it's. You know, we can sit here and we try to break it down and try to figure out what the hell they're doing, you know. But our tastes, you know, the 1%ers that I call us, you know, we have very specific. You know, we want the best quality. We want
these a 1%er.
1%er. You know, we want the high quality stuff. We want AAA big games. We want, you know, good stories and incredible graphics and these amazing mechanical systems and stuff. And Nintendo will put out a game that is ported over from, you know, the Super Famicom or something that's, you know, oh, it's never been here in the US or something, you know, and charge you $60 for it and we'll buy it. You know, it's that kind of thing.
I've stopped.
Yeah, I haven't.
There's such a healthy amount of bullshit history that we could go back and look at. And I had the unfortunate experience to work at GameStop like many. But you see the DS, then you see the DS Lite, great upgrade, but then you get the DSi, and then the 3DS, the new 3DS XL. And how many times do we have examples of Nintendo creating hardware that is so minusculely updated with such a small amount of boost, and then it's not even taken advantage of? How many games put the new 3DS to use? Truly, almost none. It was remarkable, and they were able to bring in more fans because it does have new. It is the new shiny. Whether it's someone like Dan or it's a kid that's saying, "I want the 3DS in the store." The person at the store sells the mom or dad on the new piece of hardware that's barely upgraded. But we don't know if this Switch Pro, whatever it may be, is going to actually take advantage of anything or really be put to use by any of the games. And I would argue that it's pretty unlikely for all the technological reasons we've just said. It's so lackluster. But moreover, if I were to be brought in by something that's new and shiny technology wise, what games am I going to play that I can't play right now? You know, this is like, are you giving me a Star Fox that I actually want? Are you making me a Metroid game? Are you really upscaling your Metroid collection? Because I played Metroid Prime Trilogy when it was on the Wii, wherever they put it. And it was the same game. It was the same GameCube game. There was no real up-res, no anything. And while you're getting free masters from Xbox and revitalized versions and enhanced editions during this blended generation from the HD twins, as they're called, it just is remarkable to me that I would even, as a consumer, consider giving Nintendo more money right now for such minuscule upgrades and so many lackluster experiences by comparison.
Yeah. Wow, we've talked about this far longer than I thought we would, which is good. Good conversation. I don't know if you guys saw the person post a video of playing Metroid Prime in 4K on the Series X the other day, because, you know, they have that dev mode in the Series X, which has, you know, emulation capabilities. It's like, shit, that's the best Switch game I've seen so far. Cool. There's a couple things I want to shout out. So yes, Halo tournament ongoing right now from our friends over at GBTB. We are playing later today. Sham is here from Midweek Mix-Up. They beat GBTB in the first round, 6-1. Clowned them. Nice job, Sham. Nice job, Dutch. Nice job, crew. Good work. Good work. Just know that if you make it to us, that's not going to happen.
Someone mentioned he means himself. And
no, in all seriousness, I've been playing the old Halo games again this week. My skills apparently were left in prior decades because I've been getting my ass handed to me, and it's frustrating.
Dude, as long as it's back when Infinite times, we're going to roll big.
Oh, yeah. Infinite I'll be okay on. But, man, going back and playing some of the people who hardcore never left Halo, you know, the old Halos, and trying to play against them now, I'm getting wrecked. So, anyway, I think, Elo, someone mentioned about who makes the most money or revenue in the industry, and I know people think Nintendo's up there. PlayStation makes the most revenue far and away. It's actually not even that close. So PlayStation made over $20 billion in revenue in 2020, which is the first time any gaming company has topped $20 billion. And if I recall, Xbox was 12, 13 billion, and Nintendo and Xbox are actually pretty close. They're right in the same ballpark, but PlayStation's a good like 40% higher. So PlayStation's just got that global brand, man. Nope, not that. I'm just checking everything else. Pampa in the house with a $5 super chat. Poor Mo has to settle with using his Xbox Dev mode to play Nintendo games the way he wants. Come on, Nintendo. Thank you as always, Pampa. Appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat, brother. And well, Z Black's in the house as well. Happy Saturday, everyone. Z Black, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming out. All right. We'll move on from the Switch Pro. Let's talk about Aliens, man.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Aliens. So this came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So Aliens Fireteam, a new co-op, officially licensed game made with Fox Interactive from a studio called Cold Iron. Yeah, Cold Iron Studios. I had to check the notes. They were founded in 2015, so over 5 years ago now, by 3 leaders from the gaming industry that had worked at other development studios. They're a team of about 40 people, I believe I read when I looked them up. This game is coming later this year, so 2021. It's got it's 4-player co-op. It's got 5 classes, over 30 weapons with modification capabilities, and then 20 plus enemies with 11 xenomorphs, they said. And if you watch the trailer for it, they tease the queen at the end. I thought what was interesting is IGN had their kind of, I guess, partnership to have some coverage on this. And they showed like 20 minutes of gameplay. And, knowing that we hadn't seen it, we're so jaded by bad Aliens games. And then knowing that this is an unproven studio, I had a lot of reservations despite my excitement. But watching that gameplay, guys, it looks damn good. It sounds good. It looks good. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. You guys think?
Yeah, man, I'm down for it. I can't remember if it was like Colonial Marine. It was way back in the, it's like maybe it was AVP.
AVP Jaguar is the game everyone always goes to as a great game, and it was a great game. But Jesus, how long was that ago? 25 years? Like,
no, I played it on PC. I can't remember.
There was an Alien vs Predator game on PC, which was really good too.
Yeah, I think that was it, where you can play as either any of the 3. Okay,
I've been playing that this past week. I've been playing that on Xbox.
Nice.
Oh, I didn't even know it was on Xbox.
I didn't even know it was on Xbox either.
Yeah,
go figure. Yeah, well, no, that was a good game. But yeah, this is, it's a great IP. If done right, it could be, really, really good. But if we've seen the results of what a lot of these studios have done with them, so it's not getting my hopes up too high, but it does look really awesome. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, 4K, 4K, 4-player co-op is always a good time in games like these too.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled by the news of this game. I have been on an Aliens kick lately. This game got me thinking about Aliens more. The Fortnite crossover was very well timed with that as well. They put the Xenomorph and Ripley in there. And so in the last week and a half, I bought all the Aliens movies, which I've seen, but it's been a long time since I've watched them start to finish. So I watched the first Alien start to finish the other day. That is just a masterpiece of a movie. I'm halfway through Aliens 2 right now. I really have been enjoying kind of going down this historical spectrum. I've been playing that AVP game that Dan was talking about. It's back compat. It's an Xbox 360 title. It was also on PC. It came out in 2010. And I really liked that game a lot when it came out. It was like the perfect blockbuster rental back in the day. I loved it, and I still love it. I'm finding it's very generic in a couple ways to play as the Marine. It's not a pretty game, but there's a really cool set of experiences you get as the Predator and as the Alien, and it really did that game justice. I know a lot of people talk about the Jaguar game. I've watched a video of that. There's a really cool side-scrolling beat-em-up that existed that was really cool. There's a lot to celebrate in the Aliens gaming area. I even, Ains, and you'll probably laugh at me.
Always.
I eBayed Colonial Marines because I'd never really played it for more than 5 minutes. I just to try it, I want to find it because it was like $5. So I'm gonna pop it in probably. But I'm gonna have to pop it in my 360 because it's not back compat. But one of a cool bit of history here is that there was a misspelling in the code for that game. A developer misspelled tether in one of the cases, and that threw off the alien behavior entirely. because the aliens would not tether to the player and chase them and flank them properly, which is par for the course for a Randy Pitchford farmed out title. That schmuck. But nonetheless, I'm curious because there's such a cool bit of history to have with the Aliens franchise in terms of media. The idea of AVP is really cool. The idea of Xenomorphs is really cool. And the gameplay for this new Aliens Fireteam looks dope. And when done right, co-op shooters are so much fun.
Yeah.
And I can see myself and my crew that I game with in Fortnite and Sea of Thieves and whatnot. God, Mr. Babbitt's on that team. That's the worst.
Yeah,
but
that's all right. We'll find a replacement.
Yeah, he's out of the group. But I'm looking forward to being in this world. And I think someone might need to correct me. My understanding is it's a $50 game, not $60, $70.
I didn't see a price, and someone can correct me. I didn't see a price on it.
So maybe that's hearsay, and I don't have that firsthand. But I like the Aliens universe. I like when people play around with it, and I'm encouraged by what I see so far. And a chance to celebrate that franchise is exciting. I like going into and experiencing worlds. Like when Hitman 3 came out, you could play all the Hitmans. There's something cool about that. When you buy the Shovel Knight games, you get all the Shovel Knight games, like in Treasure Trove. I like when you can go in and do a deep dive on something, and that's where I'm at with Alien right now. It's just exploring that world even more.
Nice. Yeah, I think to your point about co-op shooters too, and I saw Jordan in the chat said I want a good horde shooter, which it looks like this will be. But what actually gives them legs, in my opinion, is could give this legs, is the fact that there are a lot of customization options. It looks like so. You have 5 classes. You have over 30 weapons, 70 ways to mod those weapons. So it's not like you're just going into your point every game, and it's like there's 4 Marines. That have the same weaponry, just fighting over and over again the same stuff. It seems like there's going to be kind of mission structure, a lot of customization, ways to work with your teammates and, setting up classes. So it does sound a lot, at least, as like almost like a Gears 5 Horde mode as a standalone Aliens title, which bring it on.
Bring it on. But it is contending with, and HR Bomber pointed this out in chat, as did a few other kind of elements of this. It's coming out around the time Back 4 Blood is coming out, which to me is a little nerve-wracking and concerning because who doesn't want to play Back 4 Blood when you know the team's history and the fact that they've worked on Left 4 Dead? I think the world is cooler to be in the Alien universe, but there's a proven set of gameplay elements that come with the Back 4 Blood title, and I'm wondering if they don't cannibalize the other in terms of gameplay audience.
And to your point, the pedigree there is known. So, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, as always, play them both. Play all of them.
Oh, yeah.
So, interesting. Elu brings up, am I only the one that would like a new Evolve? Evolve was not a bad game. It's just that 4v1 just did not take off. Other games tried it. It just kind of died. And the problem with it was, in my opinion anyway, is that the 4v1 games, you really needed a good team of 4. And then you needed someone who really knew what they were doing as the 1. And just in random matchmaking, it never worked out. I owned that game, tried to play it with friends, and it was never good. It was either the team won right away or the monster won and was invincible. It was very rare to get a good balanced fight. It's just tough.
That's the difficulty with modern multiplayer gaming is that if you want the more complex co-op experiences you want, the more time and people you have to coordinate to do that. That's why raids are what they are, raids, versus Destiny's structure and Outrider structure of having these 3-player missions, strikes and whatnot. They just work better in terms of scheduling in this modern world with your buddies. Trying to get 4 and 5 people together is not easy to do oftentimes with a lot of people's schedules where they're distributed around the world, time zones, all that stuff. It's just not an easy thing to do. And when you put random matchmaking into any of those games, I mean, it's a crapshoot. Like, are you going to get the great experience? Or are you going to get this awful, no fun timed? And
yeah, especially when it's competitive, right? Because like you mentioned Destiny and stuff, and Division 2 does it extremely well is you can play that game solo. You can matchmake anything almost at any time, at any difficulty level, but you have a common goal. The common goal is the theme. Right. It benefits everyone, even if you don't know each other, to go through the mission, kill everyone, get the loot, be quick, whatever your objective is. Whereas in this, it was a competitive matchmaking where you needed to coordinate with people you couldn't really coordinate with, and you needed to fight against someone who knew what they were doing but probably didn't. And that's what kind of broke it around.
Yep.
So yeah, man, but we'll see what comes of this. I mean, we got the gameplay, we got the feature set. Obviously they're probably in that polishing up phase now. I hope they do like a beta or something for it to allow people to try this early and kind of give some feedback. I do still have concerns, being a new development studio, about what this is going to deliver. But I'm excited for it.
Can I jump one last point on there, Ains?
Of course.
You said about a beta.
Yeah.
I'm all about this demo aspect where progress carries over if it's possible.
Outriders
that's what I'm saying. Outriders is nailing that. I rolled a new character this morning. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Outriders, which I know you guys have talked about in different episodes. But when you have a co-op shooter or something like that where you're going to be building on a character type class, if there's a way to let progress carry over, I want that. Because otherwise, I have no interest in betas. I think we talked about that when I was last on about Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Betas don't thrill me, but when I have progress that's not lost and not going to be gone to time, I'm far more likely to invest my time in it. Because otherwise, there's so many other experiences to be had. Yeah. So that is just my thought when I hear the word beta. Now I'm like, no, give me that demo. Give me something where progress carries, and I'm rewarded with more than a skin or a nameplate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do for Infinite in that regard. I knew you brought up Outriders, so I knew Bomber would the bomber signal. Bomber signal was shown into the sky there. Real quick, I forgot to mention it. This beautiful SG plate here behind me, that'll be a mainstay going forward. I know Diego was in the chat. Don't know if he still is, but I had Diego custom make, kind of modify the SG logo. And then this is actually from our merch store. It's like a custom aluminum print that then has a gloss layer on it, and it's super, super nice. So trying to figure out, I wanted to shout out Diego for thanks with that, but also figure out how we can, get some things like that with some of our other designs. I know people just don't want an SG logo hanging in their house like me, but some of the other cooler designs we have on stuff like that you can hang up because it's really neat. So forgot to mention it. All right. Let's talk Xbox and Bethesda quickly. I know this is a big topic this week because as of yesterday, it looks like finalization of this kind of major acquisition is coming to a head. So I know that people are really wondering what is going to happen here, and I know Jeff Grubbs commented on this. A bunch of the people kind of around the industry have commented on this, and it sounds like what we're going to get is an event in the coming weeks, which is going to kind of announce this partnership and what Xbox and Bethesda are going to be working on in the future for obviously probably the next couple years. We'll probably get a look at new IP, probably. Starfield's obviously been the prevailing rumor here of that game coming out sometime in the near future. But I just want to ask you guys, just so we could touch on it, right? We want to call out this is happening. Obviously, there should be an event soon because we haven't heard anything from Xbox in a while. What do you, if you kind of had your druthers, as they say, what do you want to see here? Are you hoping that Bethesda really just kind of continues to polish the franchises they have, like Wolfenstein, like Doom, and they make those next iterations with Xbox in mind, obviously? Or are you hoping they really kind of just go a little further out with better funding and engine development and resources and really kind of experiment with newer things, and they kind of put some of those known franchises like Doom, the Wolfensteins, etc., on the back burner for a little while? What do you hope to see over the next couple of weeks?
I'd just as well see them do both. I mean,
not at all.
Yeah, just give me everything. I mean, I don't know why we got to pick. Microsoft has trillions of dollars, like everybody says. So just do everything you want to do. Honestly, I want to see Prey 2. That's what I want to see. Everything else. Yeah, that's it. That's literally it. Like, I don't even care about everything else. I don't care where they land. I don't care where they're exclusive. I just want Prey 2. That's it. If you can't do that, then this whole $7.5 billion is a waste of money.
$7.5 billion for Prey 2. That's all I want.
It's all I need. I'm a simple man. So here's the thing. I don't know what the event's going to be. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't really care as far as like, what's going to happen with like, where the titles are going to land, because,
we don't have to get it.
Yeah, whatever's going to happen. Either I get it for, included on Game Pass, or that's it. So I mean, people that have like both of these consoles that are out here arguing about where these things are going to land are idiots. Because it doesn't matter. In the end, it does not matter. If you really have a PlayStation 5 and you have the Series X and you have Game Pass, right? And you're over here arguing that it's going to be exclusive to Xbox, shut up, because it doesn't matter, because you're going to get it where you're going to get it. You're going to get it on Xbox Game Pass. So that, like, the whole argument doesn't even make sense to me. I want to see Prey 2. I want to see a Fallout game like a New Vegas 2. That's not buggier than hell. Yeah. That's what I want to see. If this money is going to do anything, I want it to improve what they release on day one. I don't want, I want more quality at Control. I just do something. I don't want to get into a game like Skyrim and Fallout and stuff like that and have just bugs on bugs on bugs. I know it's, they're very big games. They're very, and you're going to get that kind of stuff in every game, right? But I don't think they were like hurting for resources prior to this, Bethesda, but now they have more. So they should be able to, get some quality assurance people in there that know what they're doing, that's what I want. I want games that come out release. I can deal with some bugs. I just don't want to deal with, every mission there's something new. When you play like Fallout 4, what a fucking disaster that was, or even Skyrim when it first came out. God, man, it's just that kind of stuff frustrates the hell out of me. So
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's stupid, But and we like I've said before, we accept this mediocrity, and so they continue to give us mediocrity. If I don't punish my son for doing something he shouldn't be doing, he's going to do it again, right? So call these sons of bitches out and say, hey, that wasn't good enough. Do better next time. And
don't be sorry. Be better.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. Yeah, and I appreciate all the work they do. I know they do a lot of work. I know it's maybe not that simple, right? But I'm a paying customer. And if, I'm not going to continue to pay for this garbage if you're going to just continue to release garbage. That's my biggest thing with this whole thing. Now that you have the funds, show me what you can do with them. I mean, people are going to act like this is going to change the industry. I don't think it's going to really change shit, because Bethesda is what they are. I love Wolfenstein. And in fact, those what ZeniMax has done, Dishonored games were amazing by Arcane. Prey, like I've talked about for the last 10 minutes. Wolfenstein, great games. Make them better. That's what you're supposed to do. Come out with some new IPs. I don't care what you do. Just give me some good games.
Starfield is the first new IP from Todd Howard's kind of core team for a very, very long time.
Let's see what it is, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to, be like floating in space and then all of a sudden my whole character flies through a space station and clips all the way down to the center of the Earth. That's the kind of stuff I don't want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see a good game.
Yeah.
That's it. Give me one.
I love Skyrim even with the bugs. What's up, Kevin? About to play Skyrim again on Series X 60 FPS. Yeah, I know a lot.
I loved it. I actually loaded it back on. I played that and Fallout 4 just to see what, because they had those mods.
Mod too, yeah.
And they look great. For being 80-year-old games.
Yeah, those are 360 games. Well,
right.
Skyrim is.
Yeah.
Bomber, I want to do them a massive Game Pass release that puts the whole ZeniMax library slapped onto it, of course, minus the new timed exclusives that aren't on Xbox yet. Yeah, and I think we'll get that, right? We saw that with other things where the studios, and their titles just get thrown on Game Pass. We're gonna definitely see that, I think.
That's the best thing about it, right? Like if you're invested into Game Pass, all these games are going to come with it.
Yeah.
Now, let's say Starfield comes out on it. I still don't believe that it's going to be one game is going to move, a service like that. It always has to be more than one, and it has to be, I think in 3 or 4 years, like you can sit here and debate the value of Game Pass. I know it's subjective, but in 3 or 4 years, I'm not sure you're going to be able to have that debate. You know what I mean?
We've talked about that.
Yeah, once it comes out there and you've got, you know, Skyrim, Fable, Forza, Gears, you know, the new Starfield, Fallout, New Vegas 2, please, and Prey 2. Like, then there's no debate. You can't. I don't even want to hear it from anybody. It's going to be awesome. You know, that's what the day I'm waiting for. You know, I don't care what they announce. You know, just say, hey, we bought them. Here's a couple things that we're working on. Here's maybe a 30-minute or 30-second gameplay with some Starfield. Enjoy it. You know, I mean, they literally can do that because it doesn't really matter in the end. Just give it to me. Give it to me. Give me what I paid for. That's what I'm waiting for from this whole thing.
Luke, I know you have a lot of thoughts on this.
I do, but I truly don't know where to start. So guide me, because Dan covered a lot of topics in that.
Dan's jumping all over the damn place.
I wrote notes because I was like, all right, I gotta counter and talk about these points.
So let's talk about let's start with the event.
Okay.
So assuming it looks like this has gone through, say an event comes late March and they come out in kind of a partnership way to welcome them to the family and to say, here's what you can expect over the next X, right? Number of months, year, whatever. What do you want to see from that?
So I do think they are due for some sort of conversation with their fans regarding this deal. And this is a different thing than what Aaron Greenberg put to rest and calmed expectations on as far as Elden Ring and bigger world premiere events. This would be a conversation about Bethesda specifically and letting fans know what it is they're going to see going forward and why Microsoft purchased Bethesda. There has to be a reason why they did it. Now, the obvious answer to that, of course, would be they did it in order to help flesh out this Game Pass idea and strengthen their brand for years to come. I do think you're going to get an event like that so that they are being communicative. I don't know if that's the appropriate word there, but they are communicating with their fans. And my expectation is that they acknowledge and address the ideas of exclusivity. Case by case is a wonderful thing to say when the acquisition of the company is not yet complete. And it was the right thing to say. Now going forward, they need to put the appropriate expectations going forward because there is nothing worse than a group of paying customers scorned. So acknowledging and recognizing what titles are going to go into Game Pass, the ZeniMax catalog, of course, will likely be going in there. I think we're all kind of expecting that. In fact, it's why I have not purchased Dishonored because I've never played Dishonored for more than a few minutes, and I'm anxious to. But it's what's hot. And I've heard that, and yet Arcane really fell by the wayside in terms of its panache and popularity amongst the majority. So I would expect that they acknowledge what's going to happen with exclusivity going forward. My expectation is that live service games continue to be multi-platform, things like Fallout 76 and whatnot. There should be a perk-based system in those games where if you're on Xbox, you're getting elements the same way that PlayStation Plus gives Call of Duty players better things now. Right. Yeah. That needs to exist within Xbox, and they have to get in the mud a little bit and be willing to get dirty, as it were, on those types of deals. Going forward, the entire ZeniMax catalog needs to be exclusive. If it's a single player experience or co-op experience, it needs to be exclusive to Microsoft. And you need to reward those customers that are investing in that game or that Xbox experience. Not specifically console or PC, but you need to reward the customers that are, as Dan said, paying customers. The one caveat to that in my mind about paying customers, and Dan, this isn't meant to directly argue your point, is I wonder if we are paying customers in this sense, because are we Game Pass subscribers? Have we bought forward 3 years in? Are we all good through 2023 or whatnot? Are they trying to market to you and I? Are they marketing to the PlayStation gamer that's not in Game Pass? Who are they marketing to? There are 15 million Game Pass subscribers. Is Bethesda to sell the next 15, the next 20, is that the purpose of it? And as far as quality, and Ains, I'm taking your question further, if that's all right, away from just the event. I do think they need to, maybe not at the event, but at some point they need to speak and lock on what is different about this Bethesda now that Microsoft is in charge of the bigger umbrella. They have autonomy, sure. Then why did we do it? What's the point? What benefit is there to the gamer? And R&D and bug fixing and QA, all of that needs to be addressed and talked about. Bethesda has good technologies. They had a really cool streaming technology that I don't remember the name of. Yeah. Okay, is that helping? I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah, they debuted it in 2019 at E3, and now I can't remember the name of it.
Same.
I know what you're talking about.
How does that help xCloud? Is xCloud better? All right, what's going to happen with that technology? What are we going to do with these new IP? Orion. Yeah. What is happening with that now? Do they complement xCloud? Do they work together? Do they not? Are they completely different things? And my amateur mindset doesn't understand it. And then, they do need to tease a new IP on some level. What's the new id Software game? What's the new Machine Games element? I know they've got something in the works, but like, what are we doing with some of these smaller studios within Bethesda? What are they working on? Wolfenstein 3 is not going to sell anybody an Xbox. Doom 3 probably not going to sell a lot of Xboxes. Doom Eternal 2, whatever they're going to call it, not going to move units. Big fan bases, people excited about it, sure, but Game Pass subscribers are getting that already, most likely.
So Machine Games is, we know, and I don't know if they're fully dedicated to it, but we know Machine Games is tasked with the Indiana Jones game.
Do we see teases of that at this event? I mean,
might be too early.
I think it's too early, and I think a lot of this stuff is early. These are promises for 2025 and beyond, if I had to guess. And
dear Lord.
It sounds crazy, but if they're starting on an Indiana Jones game now or just started in 2020, we're not seeing that game for years.
Oh, no.
Right. And Bethesda cannot release buggy games, because otherwise the narrative written by some Polygon kid or some IGN kid is from the people that published Crackdown 3. That's what's going to happen. So Microsoft's in a unique conundrum that they've got to have high quality software on everything that's exclusive from here on out in order to combat this no games mentality that is wrong, but still the mentality of the people. And perception is everything. So there's a lot to take away with that. And so I took your.
I like how you said the guide you, and then you just went everywhere anyway. So,
but I needed a starting point. The most interesting story is how you arrived at the beginning in the first place.
How you arrived at the beginning? Okay, all right.
Lawrence Krauss said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Lawrence, what a guy!
Sarkis says, "I'm breaking NDA here. They're making me more Skyrim." Yes.
Well, let me ask you this, Luke. You said that you need to make those games exclusive, and I don't care if they do or not. Sure. As a multi-platform owner, I mean, how does it make a big difference to you initially, anyway? Because you've got Game Pass. You're probably subbed up until 23, 24. I don't know, whatever it is. Yep. Like if that's what happens, to me, as the same kind of consumer, I'm just going, cool. I don't have to pay for this because I'm already set up. When I paid that $1 back in 2020, 2017, whatever the hell it was, I don't know, it's been so long, I forget. But, to me, as long as you are good, like individually,
personally,
right, it shouldn't matter at the end. I understand, like, you can't, if you're going to give me, like, I've talked about this before, like if you say, okay, Starfield is going to be released only on Game Pass, and it's only going to be on Xbox and PC, right? You've got one new big IP, which is awesome. How many people does that bring over to the sub? Does that give you the sub for 1 month? Or do people sign up for it for, 2 years or a year worth, and to me, I mean, like I said, I'm not a business guy. I have no idea. Right. But then you go, well, you do this case by case basis, like you said. You say, okay, well, this one we're going to throw over on the PlayStation, just for this first one. When does that value? I guess because it's all subjective. When does that value become? Get to that point where it's like you have to have Game Pass. Like Game Pass is so freaking amazing that like you have to have it. I mean, like
indispensable.
Indispensable. That's a good word. I mean, at what point does that become indispensable?
2023.
So
you think it's that early?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
nice.
The first part of your question was does it matter to me, right? Because I am a multi-console owner. The answer is yes, it matters to me because a healthy ecosystem for Xbox is key to everything. And if they cannot publish and produce games that are on par with the incredible Sony slate like God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, what looks to be Forbidden West, Ragnarok, Sony has consistently put out top tier AAA games year over year, or nearly year over year, I should say. And because of that, we forget how many studios they've closed. We forget about the Kill Strains and the Concrete Genies and the Dreams that have these promises and they fall short. Even if they're worthwhile experiences, they fall short to mass appeal. Microsoft cannot have more experiences falling short. Sea of Thieves somehow weathered the storm, but it costs a lot of money to get to where it is now. They can't have more Crackdowns, more State of Decay 2 style launches. Even so, State of Decay 2 is in a great place now. We can't have that early on with them. So for me as a consumer, I need good exclusives, promises of my dollar being worthwhile day one, right?
Okay, so in that case, what does it matter where it's at then? If you're sucked into Game Pass, I guess, and you're there already, right? Even if you weren't, and you saw that, I kind of get what you're saying, because Sea of Thieves, like you said, defied the expectations. I love State of Decay 2, and maybe not Crackdown 3 so much, but you know what, it was all right. It was fun to play.
But people aren't playing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, people, you've got to get to the point, I guess, where you've got a lot of these big AAA games day and date, right? Sure. Like you've got like Doom Eternal. When I heard that was coming, I was like, oh, cool. Realized a week before that I had purchased the damn thing. Right. It was on sale for like $30. So,
and are people going to go buy a console for Doom Eternal? I don't think so. Would they invest in Game Pass? Perhaps so. But I don't think the next Doom game is going to move units or anything of that nature. And units are an older, more tired argument, but they do make good headlines and they set mindset. The precedent for exclusivity that I would offer as a good counterbalance would be think about things like Destiny. Destiny has a community on multiple platforms, but PlayStation brought that Destiny community to them by offering exclusive strikes and a couple special guns. They did the same. PlayStation did the same thing when they made a deal with Call of Duty. And is the best place to play Call of Duty PlayStation? Yeah, if you care about Call of Duty, it is. I don't, so I'm fine on my Xbox playing it. That's why I want the achievements, whatever. But if I cared about Call of Duty, I'm getting those XP perks or whatnot over on the PlayStation side. If I cared about Destiny and I want the complete Destiny experience, I need those special strikes and special guns 6 months ahead or forever, I'm going to be on the PlayStation. That is the mentality that Microsoft needs to have if they're going to make a multi-platform game. And as somebody that doesn't care about Destiny that much or Call of Duty that much, it doesn't matter to me where I play. But for somebody that does, they're going to choose their respective system accordingly. And Microsoft now has to incentivize their experiences in that way if they're going to go the multi-plat route. And it's about drawing in the consumer that's diehard about that particular topic, about that particular thing. And Microsoft needs to give a perk or two to Game Pass subscribers in Halo Infinite. Have to. 100%. Have to. You got to incentivize things with the little stuff that communities feel rewarded, and then they're willing to spend more dollars. Because I'm on my Xbox most of the time, I buy I go to Deals with Gold every week. And I'm buying $7, $8 games, but I'm doing it. My attach rate on Xbox is astronomical thanks to Game Pass. And I think it's a perception and a buildup of things. And I know we went into the bigger conversation, but exclusives are what start and seed that ground to spend more dollars later.
I see what you're saying. I understand. Yeah, I mean, I think, I think I agree with you. I think without Game Pass, like if that wasn't the thing, I would be 100% like, yeah, this is what they have to do. They go out and spend this, and that's how they have to. I mean, because you can say, well, they got all this money, and it's a finite damn thing. I know Microsoft is loaded, and that's fine, but they're not just going to throw that much money at something and not get their return back. And I'm not talking about putting it on PlayStation, because I can give a shit less if it goes to there or not, because it doesn't matter to me. All right. I'm just saying, I think if Game Pass wasn't a thing, it'd be completely different. But to your point about exclusivity, I think, and you want to put that one up there, that what Asante did?
You guys have been just going, so yeah. I've let you run. We've got stuff to get to. I want to touch on, and obviously I want to add my input to what you guys are saying, but I didn't want to interrupt you. We'll get to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes the point. Like it seems like it's more of a mentality thing in the gaming community, which is why I kind of stepped away from it, because it always seems like it's more of a, well, Sony did this. This is how they do it, so we need to do this to them. But that's not how we should be as a community. We should just be, I mean, if you want both systems, fine. If you can only afford one, then you have to make a choice. But a lot of these hardcore gamers that are on there, they own both of these systems and or are going to have both of these systems. So if, it comes out on just Xbox, or if a game comes out on PlayStation, you're going to be able to get both of them. I never thought that, like, Game Pass should push console sales. I always thought, I always thought that it's a value. You get 200 plus games, whether or not those appeal to you is whatever, but there's gonna, we keep saying it's going to be happening in the future. In the future, we see all these other stuff they're going to be putting out. And for me, that's where I'm going to play most of those games. If it's coming day and date on release, 100%, there would be no reason, even though I buy everything for some reason on both systems, there'd be no reason for me to purchase Starfield on PlayStation if I own the Xbox Game Pass. That's I get that, even if it was there. So I don't know, man. It just seems it seems more like of a mentality than it does like this is my team and this is my team and and that's not how it should be. I mean, and it doesn't matter in the end, because I'm not making any money off these dudes. They make a ton of it, and they know what they're doing. I think I can see it going either way. I hope Bethesda just makes some good games and not, get to that point where we're just getting that mediocre experience, 30 minutes into the next Fallout game where it's just like,
talked about that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I don't want. We get some good games. Put them wherever the hell you want to. Doesn't matter to me, because I'm going to play them anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was a long conversation between you. So let me touch on a bunch of things. So first, let me get this check. Okay, Asante, thanks so much, man. $9.99.
Yeah, awesome, man.
True that Game Pass subscribers get the games. Some of us care about exclusivity because Sony has made us care. I think that's fair, and I think that's what Dan's speaking to from a mentality standpoint. That's why I bought my PS5. Spider-Man is behind that Sony paywall now. Xbox needs to compete in that arena. Now, there's a whole – so thank you again for that, and I'm going to kind of touch on that in coordination with a couple other comments here, because Timothy Weekly says something very similar, and I get what he's trying to say, Luke, because that's where it's a conversation that I have put forth, as Dan will tell you many, 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 many times. For conversation's sake, what happens if they say Fable gets 5 million Japanese gamers to sign up for Game Pass through mobile and sell 0 consoles? So
that's awesome.
Which is fantastic, and that's the play in that market, and that's the differentiation between these varying comments in your guys' conversation. Is a lot of this stuff that you guys are talking about between exclusives, Game Pass, its capability to bring someone into the Xbox ecosystem and or to sell a console is market specific. In the US market, right, where we are, our community that we're most, and probably Western Europe, that we're, all of us talking on a daily basis, right? There's a much greater percentage of us that are, to Kay Asante's point, going to go out and buy a PlayStation 5 because of Forbidden West, right? Or will buy an Xbox console rather than trying to focus on something like xCloud on mobile. However, the market in somewhere like Japan, and we talked about this last week, Dan, the conversation around Xbox selling consoles in Japan, it's dead.
Yeah.
Forget about it. It's gone.
Understandably. Their infrastructure is fast, and they can go xCloud or mobile, PC or mobile, I should say, for everything.
Yeah, mobile's it. I mean, mobile is light years ahead in terms of revenue and gameplay and time spent in those South Korean, Japanese markets, right? So the play in that market or those markets is really about having the library on Game Pass to bring people in who don't care about having an Xbox console, right? What all of this conversation sums up to, and we've talked about again many times as well, Dan, and Luke as well, is that at the end of the day, what we're talking about is content. And as all of this comes to fruition and things start to finally get to that point where the content is being released, Xbox Game Pass is it's kind of the gateway to Xbox, period. The Xbox brand in the future is Game Pass, period. If you can't see that through the trees, you're not looking. So my point in saying that is that it doesn't matter to Xbox at all on how you go through the door, whether it's to a console, whether it's to a Series X or S, whether it's to Game Pass or mobile, you play on PC. It doesn't matter, right? Game Pass is the door they want you to walk through. And so I think my last point, because I've been talking for a while, is that everything you guys were saying back and forth was all true, but kind of all encompassing into that Game Pass conversation, right? And I think that's what Asante and Tim and a few others in chat kind of touched on different aspects of that. But at the end of the day, it all adds up to the same. If you sum it all up, like a peak, Game Pass is here. That's all it is.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Thank you for clearing that up, because I did not track the question well, and so I appreciate that. Yeah,
and so and Asante, man, you're very generous, dude. Thank you so much for the super chat. Seriously, we appreciate them greatly. I agree that's not how it should be, but that's how it is. I wouldn't have bought a PlayStation 5 if it wasn't for them locking stuff up. Yeah, that's fair. I think what Dan's point is, I don't want to speak for you, Dan, but I think the point there absolutely is a percentage of customers out there that will buy a platform for specific titles. Exclusives have the capability to sell, whether it be a console or a service, like we're talking about, right? That's a fact. But again, right, Sony's making the money. If you look at it from a Sony perspective, they make the money, Asante, on you buying Spider-Man and you buying God of War Ragnarok and you buying Forbidden West, whatever games you like to play. You buying that PlayStation 5 is that's their door, because that's, at the time being, Sony's main door is console sales. Whereas for Xbox, their main door is Game Pass. So while it's important, it is important. It's not to be disregarded that Xbox doesn't want people investing in Series X's and Series S's. If it wasn't, they wouldn't have spent billions of dollars developing them. And quite frankly, they're incredible pieces of hardware. It's just a different approach. But yeah, you're right, Asante, in the sense of you wouldn't have bought a PlayStation 5 if it wasn't for the game. It's just different approaches to the market. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think to his point also, it's he wanted that one specific game, and there could be people that do, and that will get. I don't think it's going to be a very high percentage. Like if I say, okay, well, I'm going to buy, like let's say Starfield comes out an exclusive, fine by me, don't even give a shit. But if somebody's going to, that's solely in that PlayStation ecosystem comes out and says, okay, I'm going to go buy the Series X. How many people is that going to be? How many people are going to get into Game Pass for just that one game, or are they just going to buy that game? Like when I bought my PS4, I think the content needs to be like, there needs to be a bunch of it. Like I waited quite a long time to buy it, but when I did, I mainly bought it for MLB, but then there was also Horizon. God of War was coming out the next year, Spider-Man, all these, there was like a ton of stuff. And that's really what I'm kind of looking at as far as from like my value, my valuation of Game Pass. I want more than just one game. And that's their long play, obviously, with Xbox. That's why they bought all these studios. That's why they're, going in the direction that they want. And if they want to make them exclusive to Xbox ecosystem, cool. Don't even give a crap, because that means good for me, because I've got Game Pass on lockdown for 18 years, for relatively cheap.
Your point is that you have Game Pass. You're locked in. You're going to get the content no matter what. So
Right.
you don't care where it lands.
Right. But also there are people that have, that kind of stuff that say they just have an Xbox and they have Game Pass locked in. And that's all they have. They don't have the Sony game, they don't have a PlayStation. They don't have anything else. Right. Like, what does it matter to them where else it goes? That's the mindset that I don't understand, because you're good. Like, you're going to be able to play all these games, right?
Yes, agreed.
Right.
The only thing I would add to that, and you know where we stand on this, we talk about it all the time. The only thing I would say to that is the regeneration of growth, in the sense of, and I think Luke was touching on this, is that if that content is exclusive, whether it be Game Pass platform, whatever, we know it's going to be Game Pass, so exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem and PC clients, right? From a console perspective, what that does, even if it's smaller, right? It'll drive some more people to Xbox ecosystem, which in turn will allow them to reinvest more into it. To Luke's point, you're reinvesting more into Xbox. You're making Xbox a better proposition to people, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the counterpoint to that, as we've talked about as well, Dan, is, does that formula outweigh what bringing, say, games 6 months after launch or a year after launch or whatever it may be to other platforms like PlayStation or Switch even? What's that revenue look like, and how does that impact Xbox adoption?
Yeah, they know.
Going all the way back to your future point, they know.
Right, they know.
They're the ones who know. So whatever makes the most sense for both the brand and the long-term revenue is what they're going to do, period.
And I love the idea that you come for one game, find more. Like, I have my PlayStation, so I can play God of War and Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But there's plenty of times in my PlayStation career where I've seen a PlayStation Plus game or a game that was on sale or a game that was exclusive to PlayStation, but I'd not touched it. And then I'm spending money or checking that game out because I was there initially for God of War, and now I'm checking out this new experience.
Yeah, of course.
And Game Pass is built around that design, and they have to have consistent content coming in, and they cannot, for the long term, rely on third parties to do that. That's why they're gobbling stuff up. That's why Embracer Group and Tencent and Epic are all gobbling studios up, because they can't rely on outside sources to fund their delivery of content.
Correct. 100%. And let me get the Sark super chat. Sark, I did not miss you. Only reason I bought a PS5, honestly, was Horizon Forbidden West, Ragnarok, and Returnal. Other than the solid single-player story games, I prefer Xbox for the total deal. Yeah, and that's fair. I think Asante was saying the same thing, right? Yeah. It's those games that made you invest in that platform. And I think that it's not that that's no longer relevant. It's still relevant. It's becoming less relevant over time, but it is still relevant. And I think that's more true of Sony's ecosystem, PlayStation's ecosystem, than it is Xbox. There's just, again, it's the same with Nintendo, right? Nintendo's probably all the way over here. People buy the Switch to play those Nintendo games you can't play anywhere else. That's just it.
And
we
Sony's
don't buy
delivered
Nintendo to play online with friends. Come on, we just talked about that.
I don't buy Sony to play with friends. Sony delivers great first-party single-player experiences. Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon. There's another one that I'm forgetting. But
Tsushima, baby.
What'd you say?
They're just Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, thank you. That was it. Yes, Ghost. There's just so many great single-player experiences, and I'm on my Xbox for multiplayer and third-party experiences at the moment. The neat business approach that Microsoft has, though, is that a lot of their multiplayer games can be played single player and have a great time. But we focus on the multiplayer. Gears, Halo. We focus on the multiplayer. State of Decay. Focus on the multiplayer. But I play a lot of those single player myself.
Me too.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's they're just different approaches. And I think where we get lost sometimes as a community, all of us, is that it has to be this way. Like,
it has to be one for one. Everything has to be the same.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, in business and this industry in particular, with as fluid as it is and is becoming even more so, there's a lot of different ways that these companies are finding to make money. If you translate that over to games, right? Think about the free-to-play game service now. That go back 10, 15 years, free-to-play games weren't even a thing. You know what I mean? What companies have evolved into is understanding a game doesn't have to come in a box for $60 on a retail shelf to make money. There's many, many, many other ways that games can be distributed and be profitable, highly profitable, right? It's the same thing with the industry. These approaches that these companies are taking to get people into their, I keep saying ecosystem. That word just seems to fit.
It is what it is.
To get into the ecosystem is going to continue to evolve. But at the end of the day, like we said, it's content. You need that content, and that's what everyone's investing in.
It's got to be good content. That's another thing. We can't. It's not just like, okay, we're going to make you, all these games and throw them at you. Give us some substantial stuff, and I expect that from, Nintendo. I expect it from Sony. I expect it from Xbox. If I'm going to be there and I'm going to buy your system, I want good content.
Of course,
and that's why when the Switch Pro comes out, even though I say I shouldn't buy it, more than likely I will, but it's still, I should put my foot down, and say, no, I got to stop doing this, because but nobody ever does.
I do. Hey, I've started.
Well, you started.
I'm in step 2.
I'm still in step 1. I'm waiting for Monster Hunter Rise to be over and done with so I can finish that. Then I'll start, I'll start then. I'll stop drinking when, after 4th of July. All right, guys. Good.
New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's.
All right. Good conversation, though, guys. It's funny, we talked at the front of the show how there didn't seem to be a whole lot of news this week, and yet we've had a lot of good conversation here. So, but yeah,
conversation you could never have with Joseph Moran.
Yeah, Dan, you asked a good question. When is the time when Game Pass will become indispensable? I think it's mostly already there for me, but then I'm a massive consumer of all these games. I think on a mass scale, I said 2023, and the reason I say that is because it'll be 2023 and beyond when things like not just Bethesda, but where these other studios that continue to staff up right now and have been working on things like Fable for, say, 2 years, right? They've been working on Fable for over 2 years. But what most people may not know about kind of pre-production on games is there's a lot that goes into artwork, and there goes into narrative and writing, right? The actual coding of the game starts after that in many degrees. And there's going to be this collaboration between all these first-party studios on engines and optimizations. And, Unreal 5 is still developing. And if you kind of look at the total picture of all that, I think it's going to be 2023 before, to your point, Game Pass is delivering monthly content, not just from third parties and not from stuff that we enjoy, but stuff that's really killer, that is going to be new and that you want to play no matter what.
And having them, Bethesda there, what that I think helps with, which I don't think we talk about enough, is that, I know what their ultimate goal is, and to have that, okay, every 4 months we get something, one of these big things. Between it, we get maybe some AA games. We get, right? They can set that pace.
Exactly.
23 studios.
Yes.
Right. So they can go, okay, this is exactly how we're going to do it. You guys got this much amount of, this amount of time, to do this, and they can, once, hopefully COVID will be under control. Hopefully everything will be kind of back to normal, and you can get back on a regular development scale, or, whatever, a regular development time. And then they'll be able to, maybe, if to your point, 2023, you start setting that pace, and then you start seeing, whoa, nobody's going to even remember what the hell Games with Gold is. I think eventually they're going to be like, what?
Well, I don't even know what that is now.
Yeah, I don't even know. I just ignore it most of the time.
But no, and I think once you hit that pace, then it's set.
Yeah.
It's getting the start, basically. It's like starting your engine, if you will. Yeah. Once it starts and they start hitting that cadence, we're going to be in gaming heaven.
It's going to be the key, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on between Phasma and Luke here in the chat. We're just going to look over it. There's heroes.
Phasma's my hero, and I love her.
Eric, what's up, Jax? Afternoon, gents. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Appreciate that. All right. We talked that. I've got to now attempt to talk my excitement of Elden Ring.
I got to go pee.
Don't really care. How am I supposed to do this? Does anyone want to jump in and talk Elden Ring with me, please? All right. So
wait a minute. Luke, are you
even Joseph Moran doesn't care about Elden Ring?
He should, considering he supposedly likes Bloodborne. It's probably just a front. We don't know.
Lies.
So Elden Ring, let's at least touch on it because it is a big news thing. So a lot of conversation on this. This trailer that was released on the Switch 720p screen apparently came out this week, and you couldn't really see much from it. But what you could tell from it, especially if you're a big Souls player, is that this game looks to be and sound like the next evolution of Dark Souls. And I think that's what I don't want to speak obviously for the From Software community or the Soulsborne, whatever you want to call it, but I think that's what people are looking for. So I'm very, very excited about it. You saw dragons, you saw different classes, and the detailed leaks that have come out talk about the class system being very similar to Dark Souls. So if you, again, I'm talking with people who don't really get into the Souls games too much, but
I'm reading about Mass Effect right now.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. You try to have a conversation. We've got a good audience listening. You see what I deal with? It's like I'm trying to pull this off the ground, and this is what I get.
Elden Ring.
I've got you.
I'm binging it.
Stop it.
You gotta get those rewards and perks.
So anyway, for fans who are listening to this, I'm going to mute the other two. Don't worry. What they showed is a class system like, Bloodborne or Souls. It looks to have spells, looks to have the melee combat. They did show horseback, which is really interesting because that's obviously never been in a Souls or Bloodborne game. So we'll see what that looks like. So maybe, it's kind of an evolution that has some Sekiro aspects in it as well. But I am super excited for this. Everything I've heard about it is that it was supposed to release in late 2020. For very obvious reasons, it didn't. It's in that phase now where it's in the polishing phase, which From is apparently scheduled around 9 months for. So I still think, I know some people are saying this might be pushed to 2022 due to some turmoil that's going on, but I still think there's a decent chance that this releases in 2021 this fall. And if this is optimized for next gen, especially with, as we understand it, Xbox having the marketing rights, this could be a really, really special game. I know people think that, some people think that the Souls games are kind of more of a niche, and that the audience, people don't realize how big those games are. I believe the franchise, the Souls games, has now sold over 40 million copies, something like that. I'm going off from memory. But it's much bigger than people realize. And the love for Bloodborne, the love for Dark Souls is very, very big. So if this game hits, it hits right. Especially, don't forget that freaking George R.R. Martin is involved in this game. So if they come out and market this as the next game from the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro creators, Sekiro won Game of the Year, don't forget that either, in collaboration with the creator of Game of Thrones, this is going to be a huge, huge release. Even if it does not have a Rodriguez difficulty mode in it.
What if it does? That's what I'm hoping.
It won't.
See, I mean, then what the hell? Anyway, here's the thing. I own Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and Bloodborne, right? And I've played them all. I haven't gotten very far in any of them. But, I know there's a huge fan base for this. It, from the trailer, it was kind of meh, it's hard to see. It was really.
Invite Eric on. I need Eric to join
us. You need
us.
Eric to get in right now. But yeah, I think once that big trailer hit, it drops and it's 4K, it's 60 frames, it's all, whatever it is that comes out in the later this year, it's going to be a big release. It's going to be just as big as Demon's Souls, I think. Bigger if it's multi-platform, Which it will. Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be a humongous game. Yeah. It's a very specific fan base. I don't want to say niche because it's not, because it's so huge. I think it's great, man. I mean, I always, everybody has told me that the stories for these games are not anything really to write home about. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of ancillary, and they're there, to kind of move the action forward. The whole thing is just you just
pissed off a whole lot of people, but continue.
Well, that's what I've heard, and this is not me saying it. I can't speak on it. Like from people I've talked to, they said, yeah, it's there, but that's not why you play a Souls game. You play it for the challenge. You play it for
that's maybe fair. That's maybe fair. There is an awful lot of story into Bloodborne had its standalone story, which was very, very cool, and then Souls as a group of games has its own story. Right. And there is a lot there, but to your point, it's the unique thing about Souls games. It's very God, I don't know the word I'm looking for. It's kind of behind the scenes. Like it's there if you want to dive into it and uncover it.
Like
but
you have to find tomes and books and stuff.
Kind of. There's a lot of stuff that's very nuanced in those games. So like you'll talk to someone and they'll make a comment about something, and it can be just a couple words that if you don't pick up on, you're going to miss like a key story thread. And then all the items you pick up, gear, stuff, like they have descriptions, and there's lore in the descriptions of all those items. So if you want to read through that and piece it together, it's actually very deep, and there's a ton to it. But for most people who just play through the games, it's not story driven in that same way as some other games.
So my point was, with George sitting there, I'm assuming helming the writing part of it. We should at least
which explains the delay.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, it's hopefully it'll have. That's the biggest thing that I would miss if I were actually good enough to play these games, would be a good story, and that's I think that's the only thing that's really held me back from pushing myself to getting into the Souls games. I just get frustrated very, very easily. So it's just not worth my time or my physical / mental health, to kind of go through it and do that kind of stuff. So, maybe a decent story would actually push me to.
Steve's wig, by the way.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's no reason you can't have an easy mode.
Right.
It's just, this is the mindset that I hate. It's just like, oh no, you can't have easy mode because it takes away the flavor of the game. Shut up.
No, actually, I agree with you there. I don't think there's any reason you can't have easy mode from a methodology standpoint. But when it comes to the Souls games, there's a way the game are designed. They're literally, it comes down to the frames. Like there's when you're fighting bosses, and if you watch some of the kind of hardcore Souls players, it literally comes down to frame by frame analysis of not getting hit and how you survive and stuff. And
that makes sense.
Yeah,
well, what about like Jedi Fallen Order? I thought that was tough.
Because that was where I was going to come in, though.
A bad Souls game. That's what it was.
What?
No.
What?
Well, that's just fundamentally wrong. But a
bad Soul. No, Jedi Fallen Order is a good game. I'm joking, of course. Very good game. But it's fundamentally different from Souls games.
It is, but Fallen Order and Lords of the Fallen and Darksiders 3, the games that have elements that exist within the Souls games, they are very good starting points to get people into that genre. They are not for people to jump right in. Dark Souls and Elden Ring, Sekiro, oh goodness, the parry system, complicated, difficult. Yeah. But it is, and it would be, I think, a disservice to Elden Ring if they did not have ways of onboarding new fans into the genre for a game that is going to be very well publicized for that. I also, back to our previous comment about exclusivity and discussions, if Microsoft has the marketing rights, they darn well sure have better paid for some sort of exclusive content to bring people and reward those gamers therein, because it's not happened with Assassin's Creed and some of the other games that they've had marketing for. When it comes, exactly. And I wonder with Elden Ring specifically, when you have that many high pillar points, George R.R. Martin, From Software, the creators of, and the genre seemingly peaking in the last few years, I wonder if it's not a recipe for mediocrity because you've got too many high profile, talented chefs in that kitchen. And I'm curious to see where it goes with that. The meme and the joke about people that don't care about Elden Ring, myself included, is that it's not really charting on our radars, but we don't know enough about it for it to do that at all. We haven't seen anything worth it being special. And so I think that's part of where we're coming from in a couple aspects when we discuss Elden Ring. That said, I didn't watch the grainy trailer, Dan. I don't know if you did.
Yeah, I did. It was grainy.
It's probably going to look like a fantasy game that we don't know much about at this point. Do they have the ability to hype me up? Absolutely. And I'm curious, and if they come out with the right kind of trailer, do you see yourself getting interested in it again?
I mean, if it's always with those kind of games, it's always been like, my skill level, like 10, 15 years ago, I know I could have done it. And then, my patience was at a much higher, level than it is now. So I don't know. Like, I feel like you have to really, especially for somebody like me, whose reflexes aren't as good anymore. And if we're going down to frames, where people are like, look at this, parry at this exact, I am not that person, but I like for difficulty, for difficult games, I will push through them, if the story is good, if it's a good, if it tells like Bloodborne is probably the one I've gotten the farthest on, as far as, because it told a little bit, it was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Even though at the beginning I sat there for probably 3 hours trying to figure out where the hell I was even going. I couldn't even figure anything out. Like I'm all for, not holding your hand to a point, but eventually just be like, hey, you kind of suck. So do you want a little bit of a hint? We can do this for you. Sorry.
If Elden Ring is Dark Souls 4 or Sekiro 2, I could not be less interested. If it has a way to onboard players like yourself and to a lesser extent, I think myself, because I'm not quite where you are, but I'm the guy that liked Jedi Fallen Order a lot.
I loved it.
But I had to learn that combat.
Same.
If they can onboard me and do something different than those other two franchises that it's so well connected to, then I'm there for it. Then I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't do anything unique or special, then it will be another game that passes me by. And I think it will do a disservice to those grand pillars we talked about, that potential with all those great creators. I think a lot of people would be missing out on that great work. And that's just, I suppose, a fear of mine when it comes to Elden Ring.
It feels like, as you guys were talking,
we got Dark Souls FOMO.
And sorry for stepping away for a second there, which I don't know if I've ever done that while hosting a show. So sorry.
I was completely let down by that. I could not carry that conversation, and it was just honestly, it
was rude.
It's like your bad bit all over again,
Funny enough, as you guys were talking ill of Elden Ring and not really knowing what either of you were talking about, Ailu said Ains has become bored with Luke and is calling bad bit as we speak. Yeah, fair. And the other thing funny, Sham said. Dan, as you were talking about like the stories, is Sham said, Dan, there are dedicated forums for the lore of these games, which is true. I mean, people really go nuts.
I have no doubt
with this stuff. You can imagine.
Not surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
Do they have grimoire cards?
It's a lot more cryptic was the word I was looking for earlier. It's a lot more cryptic. Here, I'm going to pimp these guys because I love them and I do that all the time, or promote, I should say, is the guys at RKG. If you want to know more about these games, why they're special, but have a laugh in doing so, their playthroughs on IGN Prepare to Try and now their own channel, RKG, of Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, and Sekiro. They've done them all. They're just great. They're episode by episode. They go through the whole game, but the one guy plays, he's not very good, so he dies a lot, and you have a laugh. The other guy's mostly humor, and the third guy knows all the lore. And so as he's going through it and dying a ton and having laughs about it, they're explaining all the aspects of these games. So believe me, if you want to kind of understand these games and the love for them, watch those. You'll have a laugh, but you'll also kind of get it.
You know what I'd like to do? Be able to play them and experience it firsthand myself. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. That's what I'm saying. I could, how I feel about people saying they've, given opinions on a video game that they've never played, but they watched a stream on it. Yeah, shut up.
This is different though. This is different.
Right. No, I've seen their stuff and they're funny. They're hilarious sometimes. So yeah, if that might be a point where I get to. But maybe like Luke said, if they make it a little bit more accessible, and it's kind of that jumping off point to get us into that thing, maybe I do go back and try to do some of the older stuff.
It almost feels like From is like the Nintendo of developers, where they're like, "Here's the games we make. You don't like it? Oh well."
Yeah, they don't care. That's fine. Yeah, do your thing, man. Do your thing. I'm still gonna buy it probably when it's $10. That's what I did with all the other ones.
Karen said I couldn't beat the first creature I encountered in Bloodborne.
Was it the wolf thing? In the very, very beginning?
The wolf at the very beginning you're supposed to die to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It might be the blood-starved beast who's the first kind of... So this is what's funny about these games, right?
He's probably like the first bad guy he comes up with, like one of the scrubs.
So Blood-starved beast is the first boss in Bloodborne, but he's really an introductory boss. He's not a boss. So it kind of introduces you to the pains of Bloodborne and how hard it can be, but it gets you into that rhythm of thinking like a boss fight, which those games obviously have. But I do see a lot of people who say they couldn't even beat the Bloodstarved Beast, and I'm like, yeah, he's literally the bottom tier of the difficulty of where that game goes.
Like 10 seconds into the game. That's hilarious. That's mean, 10
seconds into the game. Yeah, so if it's right when you start, there's a wolf that you encounter, but you're supposed to die to him. Because when you die, you get woken up at the I forget what they call it, but the hut with the woman, and that introduces kind of the main story to the game. So then I respawned outside elsewhere. Yeah, that's supposed to happen. So anyway, enough on Elden Ring. I'm excited about it. More to come. Next time when the game releases, I'll pull a panel together that actually knows what they're talking about here.
I don't know what that means. Gee,
we'll talk about it. All right. Last thing I want to touch on real quick. We don't have to stay on this one, guys. So is PlayStation VR 2. Because Dan, I know that you've dabbled a lot. I have PSVR. You've dabbled a lot more with it than I have. But, we got the official announcement, of course, from PlayStation that, yes, this is coming. It's going to be much more streamlined. There's going to be a single wire, not all this crazy hookup like PSVR 1. It's going to be more advanced, better resolution, better view, all this stuff. And then patents came out this week, which is kind of what many of us expected. And I thought the ASEC came on about this when he was on the Industry Perspectives chat, is they basically look like the Oculus controllers, right, to replace the Move controllers. So it's, they're handled, and they believe that there's going to be haptics in them that were developed as part of the DualSense. So as you're holding this, you can still integrate haptics into your gameplay on PSVR without the DualSense, which all sounds really cool. But I just wanted to call it out because it's exciting, I think. VR continues to evolve. It's still kind of in that weird place where not a ton of people experience it, but with games like Half-Life Alyx we always talk about, right, and some other experiences, it feels like if PSVR can be a jumping off point, 2.0 can be a jumping off point into this higher end VR experience that's only been reserved for PC, and PlayStation continues to dedicate first party support to PSVR 2.0, I think this could be something really special.
Yeah, man, it's so we got the Quest 2 a few weeks ago. That thing, I look at my PSVR and I'm just like, nah, what is this? What is this garbage? I mean, it's that much of a difference. So they need to at least come close to that kind of quality. As far as, I didn't realize, like, I thought that PSVR was really, really cool. And it is, I mean, but I thought it was an entry point. I feel like I was hornswoggled, after seeing what the actual VR, like, running off a PC is.
Yes.
It's insane. That, and it's completely wireless, which is also amazing. I'm fine with a wire. Most of the stuff I do, I try to, sit down and play, because, I'm not an active guy. I mean, I played a lot of Squadrons. I still play it on VR with the HOTAS, and I don't have to stand up, obviously, to play that. So, those are the kind of games I like. Blood and Truth was a really good game. That was
right.
It was a Sony London or whatever, whoever did that. I want to keep seeing, keep supporting it. If you're going to go that direction, you're going to, you'll have an edge, at least in that area, as far as, your business, because there's not a lot of, unless you go with the Labo and the cardboard and put your thing up, short of that, there's really not a whole lot of VR options, out there for the consoles, and it's all going to depend on how much I think it's going to cost,
That's what I'm most curious about. Not to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine.
Do they aim at that kind of mass consumer market again, or do they really kind of push a higher end VR unit and go for a like a $400 unit?
That's
now
the question.
my preference, of course, is to go higher, but because it's console, I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I have no idea. Really, I mean, for what I played for the Quest 2, it's actually a really good, little system. You could,
400, right?
Yeah, it was $400. Yeah. That was for maybe it was $300. It was $300 because,
but I could be wrong.
I think it was. Well, damn, I'm not gonna remember how much I paid for it. There's two versions. There's a 64 gigabyte and a 256 gigabyte. It's $100 difference.
Gotcha.
Because it's a standalone set. You don't even need your PC to run it. Technically, it does it by itself.
Yeah, it's got the unit in it. Yeah.
Right now, there's a link play. You can plug it in, and that's I think the best way to play because it allows you to access any kind of Steam VR games that you have to. You can set it up to be still wireless and use a virtual desktop basically, and that works great, assuming you have decent local internet. So that's what we ended up doing. Got rid of the cord and just went full wireless, and my kid plays it constantly. It's like 1 or 2 games, which is the crazy thing for me, because he plays some Beat Saber, he plays, some game called like Sword and Sorcery or something where it's just like hordes of people and you just grab whatever weapon you have. It's just like almost like I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know. It's hilarious to watch and play because you can sit there and slice it. It's just fun.
That's cool.
And it's a really well done system. So it needs to be at that quality. You need to show people. And then you're running it off the PS5. So I still don't know all the tech aspects of these consoles. So I know like the Quest 2 needs like a 1060, I think, AMD or NVIDIA 1060 something, video card. It needs like a Ryzen 5.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain requirements depending on the unit.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the PS5 is somewhere around that. Maybe I don't know how these stupid things work.
Yeah,
I know they work. That's so. But yeah,
I was going to say, to your point, never play on PC VR because you'll never play again. I bought a Valve Index, and the difference is so drastic.
Crazy how much different it is.
Yeah,
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was like, this is insane, man.
Yeah,
like how do they even call this VR?
Well, that's why a lot of Ace has said the same thing, and I think he has a Valve Index as well. And Carl actually writes for the site said the same thing. Is that calling PSVR true VR is kind of an insult. Really, it's not to that level.
No.
Yeah. No, Luke, 1 second, dude. Just because I misspoke on Bloodborne a couple times, I want to correct myself. I wasn't looking at chat when I was talking. So Elu's right. The first boss in Bloodborne is the cleric piece, not Bloodstar piece. That's later. And the main area there is the Hunter's Dream. Thank you, Steve. All right. So, Luke, you ever play around with VR? Any interest here?
Not at the moment, no. No interest. And I have not. Perhaps that's why I don't have interest. But the cost to buy in and the experience that I would get for what I could afford, not there at the moment. And frankly, I'm fine with that for the time being. I'm happy to adopt that technology down the line when it's either more affordable or a better, more complete experience. I love the controller evolution I'm seeing on the PC side with the Quest and whatnot. I'm unhappy with, I think, the way the Facebook deal kind of played into things. Yeah. I like knowing that PlayStation VR is evolving. I was really worried they were going to leave that tech behind. It is very common that companies will go least common denominator. I mean, for God's sakes, PSVR had PS3 controllers. There's an element to that I'm just not interested in for the time being. But cheers to all the people that are trying it out, enjoying it, playing it, making it better, because it needs to be better for someone like me to get into it. But if you're having fun, rock on. It's just not for me at the moment.
Of course, yeah. Mm-hmm. And Darren says, wonder what the change on the Xbox side, because you remember they did talk about VR previously with Xbox. They talked about a Scorpio. They talked about it in the future. What he always said, though, is that they don't want to be in the market of creating an exclusive headset like PlayStation does, because obviously Xbox and Microsoft, is all about Windows. And with Windows, you get obviously a much greater opportunity to work with multiple manufacturers who are already doing great things, as we just talked about. But it does kind of surprise me we haven't heard more about that, though. Just VR support if you have a Series X, right? And being able to go buy one of these Windows headsets and just use it and buy the games on Xbox. I don't know why they haven't gotten there yet, but hopefully they do in the future.
Well, they just released some stuff with that AR stuff that they're doing, where like the virtual meeting, that stuff looks badass.
Yeah,
like
the AR is really cool, but the tech is, again,
it's crazy expensive. Yeah.
Like still people awesome. Are like, well, where's HoloLens? HoloLens is a $3,000 company device. It's a corporate device basically.
Crazy.
So anyway, I thought it was cool though. I'm looking forward to see what PlayStation does with this, and we'll see. Let's get to current stuff, guys. Real quick, I want to call out. We talked about Division 2 last week, and I'm still addicted. They announced just yesterday, actually, that they've passed 40 million players. And the most surprising thing about that is that it said that March, meaning right now, they have the most players that have ever been playing since launch.
Craziness.
So the game is more popular at this point in time than it's ever been since it launched almost 2 years ago in 2019. And that new content is coming. In fact, they said that they're going to release a new game mode for it that's never been in Division before, including some members of the kind of core development team are going to stay on working on Division, even though most of Massive is obviously going off to work on the Star Wars game. So this is cool. They said it will take several months. They said the earliest it'll release is late 2021, which of course means 2022. But yeah, I'm excited for this. So I've been playing a lot of Division 2 myself. Just a ton of fun, adoring it. But what have you guys been up to, man? What's good for you? Luke?
As far as like what I'm playing, man, a lot. But that's my nature. I tend to play a lot of games simultaneously. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm playing the 2010 Alien vs. Predator game, having a real good time with it. That's actually a very fun game. It's not pretty and doesn't upscale super well, but I'm really enjoying that. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite. I've really been enjoying the Outriders demo. A lot of fun to be had there. I've sunsetted any fun that I could have had with Call of Duty. The game has it froze and broke on me constantly.
Warzone or Cold War?
Cold War. Just too many failures. Yeah, it was just pushed too soon. It shouldn't have been out when it was, and just bad experiences with it. But
we've talked. Sorry to interrupt you, Luke. We've talked about it here, but most people don't realize that game wasn't planned for this year or for 2020. It was supposed to be the 2021 title. They had that whole screw up with Sledgehammer Games, and so they moved Cold War up a year and then threw all their resources at it and tried to rush it out. And you see what you get. When
it works, I really enjoy it. But it froze. It got framey on me. It crashed my system far too often. That is a common enough experience that it's not just me, but it's not universal. Similarly, I've had multiple people in my gaming group have had the physical discs, and they'll put it in, and then it tells them they need to buy the game, and it won't let them play. And that's just stuff like that polish and timing on QA could have helped with.
Sure.
But then I'm also playing Anger Force Reloaded, which is a great twin stick shooter. Which is just silly. I like playing lots of like little games. I have several games for review that are coming out over the next few weeks that I'm just checking out in small, short quantity. Yeah, man, I'm just having a blast with lots of things. And real talk, that's the nice part about times of the year like this. And I think 2020 and 2021 are the years where we don't get as many AAA games and we can catch up on backlogs.
There's a lot, yeah. And there's still an awful lot to play, of course, and catch up on. I'm kind of ashamed, though, that I didn't hear you say that you reinstalled Anthem. I was waiting for it, and I figured
you said Anthem? Is that what you said?
He never uninstalled it.
Yeah, well, that's fair, too. Maybe that's why he didn't.
I am forever sad by how much fun. I mean, I think I had about 100 hours just flying around being awesome in an iron suit. And it's funny, as I play Outriders, that's the gameplay I wanted, man. Like, if they just didn't make it a live service, I'd have loved Anthem even more. Yeah, I think about that often, but there's a lot of games that I'm looking forward to the rebirth of, and sadly, Anthem is not one of them.
Yep, no, we poured one out last week for it. So
yeah, I know. I was with you in the VOD.
Dan, what's happening, man? I know you've been playing some Division 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna need your help here pretty soon because fuck these Pentagon missions. I got through one, thank God. Other one, have you done the Pentagon yet? Oh my God. There was the second one, I think. Yeah. It's fine. You know, I was like, okay, I'm just chugging right along. Then you get to the last part, and there's the main guy, he's a sniper, right? And there's these two turrets. You can take those out pretty quick, no problem. And then, you know, you take out everybody else that's there, no problem. Then it's just you and the sniper guy. Well, he calls down mortars every, minute or so.
I remember that battle.
Yeah. And he doesn't come down. And so you can only get, and I'm not, my build, I have to either redo my build. It's not built for long range. So you can't, well, I'm a tank. Not really. I'm like a critical hit machine. So when I actually do get, get up there and get, I just can't get him down, and he'll repair himself and heal himself. Yep. Eventually he comes down after he calls in like 2 or 3 medics. I'm just like, are you serious? What is happening here? So I finally finished, and I get most of the medics down, and trying to keep track of them and him at the same time is very, very frustrating. Because once I get in on him, I know I could annihilate him. I just can't get that close, unfortunately. By the time he actually gets to a point where, and I've already gone through all of my armor kits, because he's disgusting, and it's just I got so frustrated the other night. I almost threw my damn controller. That's how mad I was.
So Faz said she did a solo, Dan. It was a bitch.
I did the one with the helicopter thing solo, and I finished that no problem. And I've done this one solo before. For some reason now I cannot.
You playing it on hard, or did you change the world level?
I'm just on whatever normal story, whatever the hell it is.
Oh, you self-revive. Yeah, I beat it. I don't know, a couple days ago. I do remember him, but then my entire build is around marksman rifle damage. So I just pick people off.
Yeah, that's the only one I've been having this problem with. And actually, in the entire game, that for some reason, even before this new stuff came out, that's always been one of the hardest guys for me to take down. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, man.
But he's a bitch.
Marksman rifles. I'm still optimizing, but I use the sharpshooter and the sniper rifle. It doesn't do a whole lot, but you can hit fun, gigantic headshots. So I hit one for 12 million.
That's disgusting.
The other day, it was a bright yellow guy with armor, and I one shot him. I was like, yeah, you're out. Get out of here.
Yeah, I can basically run around at will. I've got the negotiator's dilemma, and I've got the chatterbox.
Yeah.
And I just basically run around, and I never run out of ammo.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And, you don't do a ton of damage, but you do so many hits, you don't have to worry about it. But that doesn't really translate well when a guy's sitting out on a ridge and then you can't, it doesn't work. So anyway, but I'm still loving it. It's still a great game.
So guy on the right, Fast says she'd help you.
All right. If I see you on there, I'll yell at you and get you on there. You're going to have to heal me or something, because that's my biggest deal.
I don't know. I'll put on the backpack. You guys can jump in. Come on.
Whatever. Just get one through that. Once I get through that, then I got Viper unlocked. So that'll be my first, part of this whole thing.
The manhunt. Yeah.
The manhunt. Yeah, that's the last thing I need to do. Sure. That actually I did install Anthem this week, and I played it because I wanted to use my stupid money to make sure. And sure enough, as soon as I did, I go to the store. Nothing for my Colossus. It's all Ranger and Storm stuff, and I'm just like, I still have 3,000 plus, and then that's not even counting all the stuff I've earned before, like just the in-game currency.
Yeah,
that I can use for all this stuff too. So now that made me even sadder, because I realized that I actually have more of that than I actually bought. So I didn't actually have to buy the currency from the store. I could have just used what I had, because I've never bought anything. So now, yeah, I'm just running through that a little bit here and there. It's still fun. It's still really good. I just, I'm on like Grandmaster 2, and I'm just rolling over people. There's builds there that, once you get it built up right, all you do is just run around and smash people with your shield. So it's still fun. It's still good. Like the gameplay is still awesome.
It was fun playing with you, comboing too, because you're that big tank.
Yeah,
and I would fly above you as Storm, and I had that combo that would mark everyone and then just explode them all, and you'd run there.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yo, I will bring my Ranger to y'all's party if we're going to do this.
We
need to do it. We'll have a stream night soon where I'll stream us grouping up on Anthem.
That's fantastic. Other than that, I've just been kind of jumping around. It's not really been anything.
Yeah.
I played a lot of the Outriders demo. I'm trying to like that because I want something new to play, but I'm still struggling.
I'm struggling a bit. Yeah, I know we talked about it last week, and it sounds like Luke is enjoying it. I know like Leo and Bomber and those guys are loving it, which is awesome. I'm mixed on it right now. I'm probably going to get it at release, but
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to love it.
I'm going into it knowing what I want from it, and I want a fun linear shooter that has that looks cool and has cool abilities. And if you're not sure, I don't remember if you guys talked about this last week, but you can get a new character without having played the prologue. It just lets you boot up. You can skip the whole prologue and just pick a new class. And I really think that's a great benefit, because I switched classes. That helped. But then I went back to my original, and learning the abilities and making sure you're on the proper world tier that you want to be on for the experience you want is very helpful also.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a lot of potential. I think it's cool that they're letting it run, and then they're, like you said, Luke, they're letting you carry over all that stuff. So that's awesome. I just have a hard time. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the level design. I think it's counterintuitive to at least the two that I've played, the two classes. Like the cover doesn't even matter. Like, I have to like literally run up on people to live. So I agree. But like you said last week, Lanes, the loot.
Don't get me started.
It's not, obviously, here's a problem. We're division players. So it's like, once you really get into it, I spent an hour and a half the other day just going through all of my stuff and, figuring out exactly what I wanted to do, what stats, optimizing, certain pieces that I need to, breaking down what I needed to break down.
Sounds glorious.
It was fantastic. So with Outriders, like, I'm starting to see that next level, like you said, that the blue stuff and you're like, okay, so they're trying, but I'm not sure that they're going to get to that point. Like, I've seen some of the legendary stuff. I'm just like, yeah, that looks cool. I think it's going to be the same kind of thing as Anthem for me. Like, it's going to be one of those games where I grab, pick up, play a little bit, and then, maybe put in 100 hours right off the bat, and then I'll never go back. But at least
a little bit, 100 hours.
That's nothing. At least, like you said, Luke, it's not a gas. It's a self-contained game, and you can just be done with it. You never have to worry about it again.
I think that's why I like it more than I like it more, I think, than Ains, because sometimes I miss simple games, and maybe that's why I like to play so many games at once. I just want to run and shoot, and I don't want a hyper complex system in every one of my game experiences.
I'm with you, man.
So I think that's why I like it. That's probably why I enjoyed the joke is always that I liked Crackdown, but I enjoyed the simple, just jumping around, finding orbs. There wasn't anything complicated to it. I like elements of Outriders because it's direct. It's a corridor shooter in some places, which does betray some of the classes, I would agree. And there are certain things that it does very well, but I just don't want to think about it. I don't care about the story or anything. In this particular case, I just want to run and gun and shoot things. And there's a level of complexity, and if I do get interested, it's there. But right now, I'm just having a blast playing. So,
yeah, that was Anthem for me.
So I think, I think that's perfectly fair. Where I always struggle in that conversation is, and we talked about this, and we keep saying that we talked about it last week, but it's like I played Outriders for a few hours, right, and then later that same day I played Division 2, and my mind, I can't help it. My mind just goes, why would I go back to playing Outriders when I can play this? It's better to me. It's it's smoother, it's prettier, it's deeper, the loot's better. I don't
think there's that's a maxed out character.
Say it again.
Like you're maxed out. Like you're a level 40.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like right. The loot's still there, the different loot and stuff, but and I'm not talking like SHD levels, because that just comes kind of with it. I'm just saying, you're at the point now where you can go out and just decide what you want to do and experiment with the min-max stuff, and go out, when I'm afraid when I get to that point, I don't know, because you've got up to level 7 or something in Outriders, I think, maybe at that point, it'll be like the Division 2 with not as detailed loot, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be, this one does this much head damage, this much of this much critical. You don't need that in every game, like Luke said.
Yeah.
But to your point, I understand it because that's your wheelhouse.
It's just me. That's what I mean. That's me. Yeah. That's not anything wrong with Outriders per se.
Yeah.
It's the same thing Scott's saying here. My problem with Outriders, I wanted to be Gears of War, so instead I just go play Gears of War, which is fine.
Fair. Yeah.
Right. It's fine. And Steve said it too. They're apple and oranges. Absolutely. Very different games. Why are you asking what SHD levels are in the chat, Luke?
Because he said it out loud, and I'm like, am I blanking? Am I just sleepy? I know I'm hungry.
SHD levels in Division 2 are the end game leveling. So you reach level 40, which is the end game cap. And then, in like Borderlands has badass ranks and Diablo 3 has the Paragon system. The system in Division 2 is SHD levels.
Gotcha. I never made it far enough in Division 2, despite all the things you said. And it was simply a matter of aesthetic, oddly enough. I wasn't really interested in a military modern day, almost too modern day shooter. And I think with Outriders, Anthem, Gears, the fantastical and sci-fi elements are what pull me to that. And again, that's back to a preference aspect of it. But everything you guys have said all makes sense, and I'm still happy about Outriders. And I think it is the non-games of service element to it. And real talk, if I could just spiral ever so slightly, I'm terrified for Suicide Squad being a games of service game. I talked about it on XEP, but when I see all these conversations of Outriders versus Division versus Anthem versus Destiny, and oh god, live service is just, it doesn't need to be everywhere. It's too many places already.
Yeah. And well, and we saw what happened to Avengers, like you said, right? So I mean, yeah, which we're not even going to talk on the freaking debacle that happened with Avengers this week. We'll leave that alone.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know what happened in chat, fellas, but there will be no gear slander on the Bitcast. Okay, I don't want to have to get out of my chair and what's Luke doing over there?
I'm excited. You said Gears, and I was like, there's a new Gears novel, and it's being written by one of the best Star Wars writers I've ever read. And then I was like, they don't care.
And it's supposed to cover the death, how Anya died.
I don't even know who Anya is.
Oh, Jesus.
That's disrespectful, Danny. Really?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Really?
I'm assuming she's a female.
Again, remember how I said earlier, I'm trying to pull this show up, you know?
Oh, man.
Disrespecting Anya.
I just like to say that kind of stuff just to,
I know. Yeah.
Actually, I honestly have no idea who that is.
Leo said to me earlier in the chat, he said, you're going to go save the Reach and fight all the Arbiters, right? And I was like, stop it.
The books over my shoulder that have been bothering me the entire episode and now will bother other people, the ones that are falling down, those are all the Gears novels and whatnot from start to finish.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, man. And now A Fear Rising is coming out. I'm stoked.
It looks cool. I did read. I don't read a lot of them. I did read Ascension, the prequel to Gears 5.
It's a good one. Yeah,
really good. Yeah.
Was Anya in that one?
Shut up.
I honestly have no clue who the hell she is.
Anya was Marcus's wife.
Oh yeah, sure, that makes sense. Yeah, she's dead.
You're killing me.
Who the hell?
I swear to God, man.
I'm muting. I'm muting Luke. Luke, it's a two-person show going forward. Just
no idea. No clue. Oh man.
Oh boy! All right. So
we're gonna get Bridget. I wouldn't have known. You could have just said, "Yeah, Bridget." Marcus's.
No, you don't know Bridget? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so let me shout out a few things here, and then we'll start to get wrapped up. Halo tournament is ongoing right now. Our friends over at Gaming Beyond the Box. The Season Gaming squad, actually plays at 6 p.m. Central. So a little less than 4 hours from now, we're playing Flamish and his group. I don't know who his whole squad is, but we're playing them. So be sure to check that out. It's running on Wilmy Hood's YouTube channel, and it's going to be running kind of through the evening with some matches today, and then there's going to be more matches next weekend with the finals on a separate date. I think the 20th or 23rd, something like that. Yeah, Jordan's in the chat. He's on our squad, our Season Gaming squad, representing. So what else I was going to say? I wanted to talk real quick about Season Gaming's kind of goddamn, sorry, I lost my train of thought. The contribution to the whole good in gaming and positivity thing we touched on earlier at the beginning of the show in memory of Dizzy. So I've been working on an article for a couple weeks, talking with a bunch of people around the community on how gaming has helped them in a number of ways, whether it be stress and anxiety, whether it be getting over the loss of someone, all those other things that we all deal with in life. So that article, along with a new industry perspective chat with the head of our Extra Life team. And by the way, the team that I'm on for Extra Life is currently #1 in the world for 2021 so far right now, which is awesome. So I'm talking to him. The video is going to be part of that. So a bunch of stuff coming this week for this kind of positivity. But what I think I'm going to do, and I've kind of discussed and thought about is make this an ongoing thing. So, just stay tuned for more to come in this regard. But kind of the good in gaming is going to be the theme. It's going to be an integral part of Season Gaming going forward, including its own tab on the site and its own content with different content creators who focus on disabilities, accessibility, positivity, all these other things, sexism. There's a lot of topics we can cover in the gaming community from that aspect. So stay tuned for that. What was the other thing? There is a new industry perspectives chat as well. I spoke to Colt Eastwood this week. Sat down. That's out on the channel now. Got a lot of good feedback on that. So if you want to check that out, I'd appreciate it as well. All right. So I think we're going to head out, man. It's been a lot of fun. Chat, thank you so much. A lot of good people out today. Some new faces. Thank you for all the interaction. It's always been a good time. You guys make it a blast. So thank you for that. Luke, always good to have you on. I don't know, you got to get on the Elden Ring train. We got to figure this out somehow. I don't know what's happening there, but we'll get it. But it's always good to have you on, man. And obviously you and I have some other things in the work with some other terrible content creator we'll talk about. But anyway, man, people, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on the Xbox Expansion Pass, which is on all podcast services and on YouTube as well. I don't have any new guests lined up for a little bit. I took a little break after I had like 3 or 4 in a row, and I was like, all right, let me get like 2 weeks where I'm not interviewing anybody, but you can look for more coming down the line. It's a solo show if you're not familiar, and it's all about the Xbox ecosystem. And I hope anybody that heard me here for the first time is willing to check it out and see if it's for you. And if it is, share it out. Yeah. And thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure. As usual, it's good to be here.
Joe. Thanks, dude. Please, I always forget to say this because I don't even think about it. Please hit the like button, leave us a comment if you enjoy it, share it out. We greatly appreciate it, of course. Dan, other than being here, you got anything else?
No, man. I still don't know who Anya is. So.
Googling it right now.
Yeah. I'll throw it up.
I'm giving Chad a 7, or I'm giving Dan a 7 for this episode.
Yeah, that's high. That's high.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure. That was Bitcast 144, and we will see you next week. Peace.